Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Liucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin, Buchanan. Holy smokes, he made that catch. I was like, we're going to go win this freaking game.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I think we're coming into this year with a new confidence.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
that's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man, 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
All right, the old switcheroo. Welcome into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is not the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. We moved that to the 10 o'clock hour because Billy's got some stuff going on this morning. So we start the final countdown, kind of, with Seth McKinney. Good morning, sir.
Morning. Some of us are on time.
Yeah, you were here early, by the way.
That's right, I was.
7:38.
Being on time is the proper thing to do, to be, and being late is a sign of selfishness. Billy and Steve, I know you guys are listening, so there you go.
Well, a week ago today, we were having a little show, and there were some things being said on this show, and then
there was a lot of frustration.
Yeah. And I think even on this show, we talked a little bit about your Twitter, right?
Yeah.
But here we are. And the move has been made. So just take me through your emotions Sunday morning when you saw it and where you are right now.
Well, I mean, I was not surprised. I mean, I guess I wanted it, right? I mean, obviously I did want that, but I also thought it was a great time to do it. No, even after a big win versus Mississippi State, just killed them, in which we should have, and they did a great job out there. But I was like, the timing is right if you're going to do it, because that gives you, 2-3 weeks before the portal and all that to calm people down and to start building momentum and to start talking to guys on the team and to recruits, which signing day is, the 6th, 18th, whatever. It's coming up too. So I think this was the right time, and I think you can start telling that narrative to guys on the team and to recruits going, hey, look, we saw, we're not blind. We see what was going on, and we're correcting it right now. And A&M is still the program that you thought it was, and you think it's going to be. And we're not satisfied with where we were, and our goal is championships. Period. I mean, it is like when you build what we build over there, and the donors are giving hard-earned money, right? That stuff isn't free. They're giving their hard-earned money to build all that stuff that's over there. All the practice fields, the training rooms, the nutrition center, all that stuff, locker rooms. I mean, that's something that these people have worked their whole lives for, and they're not satisfied with not winning championships, and I don't blame them. Yeah. And I'm right there with them. And when we made the move, and I think it's the right thing to do. I thought it was the right move, and I feel like we have a lot of options out there to help us meet that goal and winning championships. And quite honestly, I'm not foregoing 2024, period. I mean, I have high expectations for 2024. I think, Elijah Robinson is a big part of that, trying to keep him in whatever regard that we keep him. I mean, from what I understand and from everything that I've seen, he's done a great job of, communicating to the team and to the media and to the fans and things of that nature. And hopefully he can hold this team together, because it's going to take a lot. I mean, it's not going to be easy. We all know what's happening, man, with the portal, NIL, and all that stuff is huge. And him being able to execute that and to hold the team together in the meantime is like indescribably huge. I mean, I can't even explain it. I mean, Billy can talk more about it, but the pieces that we have to hold together, I think that he's a big part of keeping this team together.
I think, not that I ever celebrate somebody getting fired, because it would have been.
No, absolutely not.
It would have been better for it to work with Jimbo.
Right.
That being said, this morning, this whole week, I've had a little jolt of energy. I wake up easier. I'm excited to come to work because there's hope again.
Yes. I mean, like, honestly, let's just pretend you're in a world where he was still here. I mean, going into the 2024 season, it would have been the most boring and agonizing off season of all time. You're just trying to think of ways to cheer yourself up and to say, we can do it. We can do it. That's what a fan is, right? A fan is somebody that has hope and that is wants to see their team succeed and enjoys watching them play football. But to enter the next season with the way that it was going was going to be such a slog. I mean, I think it was the right move. I think they made an excellent decision. Regardless, I mean, look, what are you going to – the sunk fallacy, man. I mean, that money was spent, and they made the right decision today. Like, you can look back in the past and do all the judging you want on that contract, all that stuff, but today or Sunday, they made the right decision, 100%. And I think that you're going to see the benefits of that moving forward for real. I mean, I think it was a great decision, and there are a lot of great coaches out there. And the talk of A&M not being one of the top jobs is an absolute joke, and that's not even me being, maroon glasses on, all that stuff. With the facilities that we have and with the athletes that we have on this team and with the motivated fan base that we have, and let's be real about it, with the NIL that we've got going on, the future is so bright at Texas A&M that if y'all don't understand that, then you're just being negative for no reason.
Yesterday was a day of disgusting journalism in multiple fronts. There was the sideline report, which I didn't really care much about, and then there was the recruiting site.
I heard about that. I saw it.
Speculating, well, what if this Aggie goes into the portal? What does that mean for the team 90 miles away? I think that is disgusting, and I just wanted to make sure I said that out loud because I'm sure Billy will take it a different direction later. But I didn't like that because that's what happens when, that was going to happen regardless of a coaching change or not. When did you know? When did you, in the back of your mind, I don't think this is ever going to work? Was there a point? Was it this season? Was it last season? Was there a point?
Well, I would say, look, I'll just tell you what my whole thoughts on the deal. After the 2020 season, I was like, man, we hadn't had a coach, and I don't think since RC that had in his fourth year on this going up, man, with the upward trajectory. And at 21, you take the step down. You're like, all right, okay, we can recover from this. And then you see what happened last year. You're like, and you get really frustrated. Like, okay, I wasn't I don't think. And it was he needed another year after last year. And then this year, you see similar results, and you see the same thing happening again. And that's when hope goes away. And I think that any person that answers to anybody in life, if you see declines or you're not getting where you need to be and you're getting paid a ton of money, that's just a change. There's nothing emotional about it. It's a business decision. Like, hey, let's throw personalities out the window. You're not getting the job done. Right. I'm sorry. We got to move on. And that's basically how you need to look at this deal. And that's what they did. And it was this year though. I mean, I'll tell you exactly. Mine was Ole Miss. That's when I'm done. I mean, this isn't getting any better. And I know there was a lot to the Ole Miss game, and I'm not blaming it on one game. That's just when I broke.
Right. No,
you know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody's got a breaking point. Like, you're patient. You're like, this isn't working. And you were like, and then you see it against Ole Miss, and you're like, oh man, it's just not happening.
See, for me, I think Ole Miss was the breaking point. But when I started predicting losses on the road of games that they can win and should win, is when I'm like, I just don't have faith. When they lost to Bama. And I wasn't mad that they lost to Bama because they played great. Well, they played great-ish for a half. But I went into the Tennessee game thinking they're going to lose because that's what they do on the road. And when it becomes a pattern and when I can predict how it's going to happen, that's when I knew it was over.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that you could look at. The fact that they were – I know I'm not trying to overblow this what I'm about to say, but the leaving on Thursday – the fact that it didn't change was just laughable to me. Literally nobody does that. I mean, and we could sit here and talk about that all day. We've done it, and I don't even know anybody that does such a thing in the NFL. We've hashed it over and over. It's the worst idea ever. Players hate it. I was one, and I mean, I hated the fact that you would have to get there that early on a Friday and then play a night game on a Saturday or something. That was agonizing sitting around, and then do that for 2 days. It's just the worst. So it's things like that where you just don't listen time over time again and again and again that yeah, the change was needed, and we're moving on.
Steve McKinney with us. Hello, sir. Good morning.
Hey guys.
How are you, buddy?
How's that first segment?
It's great.
Well,
what have y'all been
great
talking
without
about?
you.
Billy did text me.
ACU game. So they have a really outstanding quarterback.
You broke down their whole offense and defense.
Billy did text me. He's going to be late.
Billy.
He'll be here in a few minutes. He'll be back.
He'll be here in a minute.
I can't believe it.
So take me through your emotional roller coaster over the last week, because a week ago today, I think you were like, we're going to go in the right direction.
Yeah.
And
let's not bring that up. Come on.
Yeah, I was definitely
he was trying. Somebody had to be positive last week.
I was like, you know what? Of course, in that whole segment, Billy's over here knows what's about to happen. I have no clue. I'm thinking like, there's no way they're going to freaking come up with this buyout, and so I might as well sunshine pump. Let's bring the temperature up a little bit. And as soon as the segment's over and we're having lunch, and then we're having conversations, and I get the feel like, wow, this is really about to happen. And sure enough, it did. I didn't think it would happen that Sunday morning, but when I saw the TexAgs text come through, I was like, wow, we really dropped them. that we just was like, you know what? And we ain't scared of $77 million. We can write those checks all day, apparently.
That's like one of those tornado alerts, man. That's all I want on my phone right now is like the text.
So then when I saw the text, I'm like, well, they must have their guy lined up. They wouldn't. There's no way they're just going to get rid of Jimbo if they don't, know who the next guy is going to be. But they don't know. But there'll be plenty of good candidates. And at the end of the day, I respect the decision. I think Ross made the right decision in the fact that the program was not going in the direction it needed to go to, and he had plenty of years, and we can make excuses, and we have, and some of these excuses are legitimate excuses. I mean, playing with your backup quarterback and every year for the last 3 years, but as the head coach, as somebody making that kind of money, you got to have the next guy's got to be ready to go. Like you shouldn't lose your starting quarterback and go from a 10-win team to a 5-win team. Right? Like that shouldn't happen. Maybe you go to 8 wins, but you don't go to 5, even playing a bunch of freshmen. And then this year, we're going to end up 7-5, 8-4. That's not – you can't be that kind of a team with a good backup quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. We all agreed. I mean, even everybody said Max Johnson was the best backup quarterback in the country. So – That shouldn't have brought us down from a 10-win type team, 9-10 win to a 7-8 win. But here we are. We've lost some close games, and I think if Randy Bond could have just got one more inch on that field goal, I don't think we're having this conversation maybe. But
you're right. But still, and that but just add that on to like countless games.
I know
throughout the year. I mean, here we are.
Hey, dude. I mean, I saw the ESPN article. I think it's kind of BS that whoever spilled all that information.
Staffer.
I don't see why we need to drag the man through the dirt or through the mud. I don't agree with that. But I bet you a lot of that's true.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and at the end of the day,
echoes what all you've heard.
I'd talk to some players' parents. I won't say parents, a parent. Who said, he loves Jimbo, but doesn't necessarily like the way he disciplines the team, lets too much stuff go. And, that is a problem.
Look at this.
That's my guy.
Look at this.
Look at my
McCafe.
guy.
Shaking his head.
Come on, bro.
What's wrong?
What's wrong, Billy?
We're good. A lot of coffee.
This is like the
I
McDonald's
won't
hour.
say which one it is because I like the people at this one, but it was a little problematic today.
Yeah.
It shouldn't take like 14 minutes.
At a McDonald's? Oh, Steve.
I got trapped.
How dare you?
I got
It
trapped.
happens.
I got trapped in like in between. I think the guy at the front, like the driver, the car at the front of the line might have been like crazy.
Yeah.
Seemed like angry. Got out of the car out of frustration.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that's the worst.
He was like, but
Those
I think
types.
he was the problem,
Oh, he was
like
definitely
Taylor
a problem.
Swift said, it's me. I'm the problem.
Or the problem was that you went in the line at 7:54.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
reprimand
that's a good
him.
point.
I don't think there's
Reprimand
anything
him.
wrong with that at all.
No, you're the owner of the company.
But I went and this is a good point.
He is on his own schedule.
But I went into the line at like 7:52.
Oh, okay.
And that's 8 minutes, and it should take like 4 minutes to get it, and it takes another 3 or so. I'm giving away with
You
the
gave
app.
up too much information.
Did you order on the app? Did you do ready on arrival?
Oh, here we go.
No,
Here we
you didn't.
go.
So
Kind of
Steve, the McDonald's
the
defender.
people that want to get their food in a hurry do that.
The McDorks.
That's pretty good.
Come on now.
So one of the things that Seth and I discussed was, I think there's a little optimism right now for this part of the season. Like a change kind of gives you a jolt in energy.
Yeah, I think there is. I mean, obviously we're not worried about this week, but it'll give us a little bit of a kind of a preview of what maybe to expect against LSU. I feel a little more hope going into LSU, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Agree with that.
You know, I have hope that, you know, somebody asked me, they were like, hey, are you ready to now say that, you know, Fisher handcuffed Petrino in the offense? I said, no. I am ready to find out.
Yeah.
I think we're going to find out against LSU
Yeah.
and in the bowl game just to see if this thing, because I have heard, you know, everybody starts talking after, you know, and the only thing I'd heard is that it wasn't quite what Petrino thought he was signing up for. So I don't know what extent that means. I don't think it's play calling. I think it's maybe it's a little more override than he expected, not down play calling. Maybe it's, you know, during the week, you know, kind of poo-pooing on ideas that you know, to implement each week. I don't know, but if it's nothing, it's going to look the same. Maybe with some guys that are a little more fired up. If it's night and day, then we get our answer. But
well, let me ask you this. I mean, you can't tell me from what I've heard and read here recently with Jimbo's total control over everything. You can't tell me that he hired Petrino is just like, I'm going to control everything, but you got the offense.
Yeah.
I don't buy that.
No, not. You just wonder to the extent.
Yeah.
And the other part of it is the offense has looked, and this is what I'm excited about. It gives me hope anyway for LSU because for the last 7 quarters and really 10 of the last 12, if you go back to South Carolina, Ole Miss, they had bad first quarters.
Yes.
But since the bye, in 12 quarters, they've moved the ball and scored points in 10 of them pretty damn effectively.
Yeah.
And pretty impressively.
Something changed.
Yeah.
Something definitely changed.
And that was during the bye. They did something, you know. Moose kind of alluded to it the other day and said, you know, they were doing a lot more of getting the ball to the QB's hand quicker. And, I mean.
That seems like a smart thing to do.
Yeah, I don't know how they could have, where they thought of that from.
It's crazy that the sack
Who are the
numbers.
marketing geniuses?
I don't know where A&M is in terms of sacks allowed. I don't think it's actually that high, but it's the pressure and it's the hits and it's the rush throws. And I don't know. Those metrics, they've got to be way up there. Because like in that Miami game, Connor Wigman didn't get sacked. That dude was under fire
every play.
the whole game. And I forget which game it was. Was it Bama or maybe even Ole Miss?
Bama and Tennessee.
Tennessee was brutal. But it was only like a couple sacks.
But he was
just pounded, like
every
bombarded.
play.
Yeah,
I'd love to know the percentage in that game. That was crazy.
The second half of Bama and Tennessee were just. That's when you're going. I was surprised. I wasn't sure they were going to make an O-line change after those games.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the coaching spot, not positional.
Per Nick, he just told me in my ear, A&M has allowed 20 sacks, 63rd in the nation. So
kind of mid.
Yeah, mid, and you would have thought they'd be one of the worst. By the way,
like the worst.
Quarterback. The only stat that matters to me is QB's knocked out for the season. too. Like that's
pretty large.
I don't know
number.
how many have 3, but 2 puts.
I mean,
away.
dude, I played 20 years of football from high school through the NFL, and I'm trying to remember how many backup quarterbacks I even played with.
Really?
I mean, it was very few.
Wow.
I mean. Certainly, they never got down to the third string.
And David Carr, thanks to you, took an absolute
88 sacks.
Oh, with the coffee in the mouth.
First of all, I'll put about half of those sacks on David. The other half were going to our freaking tackles that had never started.
Because Maselli never played.
Yeah,
right?
that was just a bad circumstance.
I don't want to get into that.
We got to look them up.
What was that first year?
At quarterback or what?
No, the line.
Was it
It
like
was
Jeremy
Ryan
McKinney?
Young, who he got hurt some, and then Jimmy Herndon played some.
From U of A.
And then you had, I think, Domingo Graham. Domingo Graham. Then me. Then you had a Fred Weary rookie.
Yeah.
Chester Pitts rookie
Chester,
at left
that's right.
tackle. So you do the math.
Pitts always looked like a guard to me.
He was a guard.
He was a
but
good
he's
athlete, though. He could
forced
do
to
it.
play tackle, yeah.
Seth played with a Hall of Famer. How about that?
He did. He did.
You could see that day one, too. But
He
anyways.
did too. A future Hall of Famer.
Played with a few Hall of Famers, actually.
Andre
I was-
Johnson.
Yeah, Andre.
Jeff Saturday. Was he?
Jeff ain't it.
Yeah,
he
he's
ain't
not.
Hall of
He
Fame.
just
But
talks
then,
like one.
yeah. Peyton Manning,
He'll be
Marvin
there.
Harrison.
I meant on the O-line. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Marshall Falk.
Wow.
Edrin James.
Hold on. I can play this game.
Let's play.
Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas, Junior Seau, Joe Thomas.
Nick Saban.
Yeah, Nick Saban in the College Hall of Fame, I guess.
All right, let's hit a break. When we come back, I want to talk about what kind of candidate you're looking for, like just the fit and
Well,
what
these
kind
two
of.
hired Mike Sherman. So.
Can we set this straight real quick?
Oh, my
Yeah,
goodness.
let me
Yeah,
set
let's
the
just
record
That
end
was
straight.
popular
Let's
TexAgs
end
lore
that
back in the
immediately.
day.
TexAgs
Oh,
loves
my
to think
word.
we had some big pull on the Mike Sherman. All right, first of all, that was a Bill Burns
Yeah.
pick, okay? That was not a Mike McKinney. unlike the popular theory that the chancellor picks the head
Medals
football
and
coach.
that.
Maybe he does nowadays, but back then I
I
can
know
assure
your
you that
dad.
wasn't
I've
a fact.
known him since Seth was in high school. He ain't pushing and meddling to hire a football coach.
No, he was definitely not a meddler. He would never have done that. But I remember he was our offensive line coach when I was at the Texans at the time. And when I started to get the word that he was going to be the guy, in my mind it was kind of like it was bittersweet, right?
Right.
Because it's like I know the guy that's going to be our head coach really well, but at the same time I'm going, I don't know if this is going to be a great fit because I love Mike Sherman, but I think you all saw how that worked out.
Yep.
I would like not to go down that rabbit hole, but I do respect what he did while he was at A&M. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
He left it in a better spot than when he got here.
No doubt. And
Unlike the past few coaches
it's just
we've
weird,
had.
too. He came so close in that the way they finished 2010 and then how many freaking close games they lost in 11. And he left
11 was
some nice
brutal.
talent for some. Well, he left incredible talent for someone on offense. Defense, not so much after year one. But then someone came close in those first couple of years, couldn't turn it over the hump. And then Jimbo really came close in the middle, and I still say he came as close as anyone has. If they'd have gotten that, if
So
they'd have
close.
just learned how to win and built the right locker room, but it's hard. And
Discipline's big in college
and
football,
I read that article the other day.
You can't
man, Dave.
just let your players control the locker room until you've established that culture.
Yeah,
Correct.
And
Yeah.
he turned it over way too early.
Yeah.
When the culture wasn't ready for
Yeah,
it.
good point.
All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back with more. It's the final countdown here on TexAgs Radio. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The final countdown. The McKinney brothers, Billy, all in studio in the 8 o'clock hour. Gentlemen, I
remember the candy Rolos.
Yeah. Rolos are
Yeah,
actually decent.
Caramel in the middle, right?
I'd say kind of.
I'm like,
right, you know,
from time to time.
I wouldn't buy a
what.
Rolo. I wouldn't. There's so many candies I'd buy before Rolos.
But I feel like Rolo. Like
I'm not
I
even
go
sure
to
they're
movie
top 10.
theaters like Rolos and popcorn.
When did they sell Rolos?
At the movie theater?
I think he's right.
Come on, that's
Today?
one of the options.
Still?
Like
No, not
Whoppers,
today.
Rolos,
Nobody
Skittles.
Milk Duds
no
are-
movie theater in
Milk
the
Duds are my
continental
go-to.
US.
Absolutely. Or maybe I'm thinking of Milk Duds.
That's what you're thinking of.
Dude, Jackie Sherrill just rolled in. Looks like he's getting harassed by the lobby lizard.
One of the greats.
Dude, he just sits in there with those.
He camps out.
Really uncomfortably
Probably,
loose shorts.
were there any big P&G players in the 80s that you can think of? Or
he's grinding
the
about.
Gold Coast?
Oh, if so-and-so hadn't busted his knee up, dude, he'd have been all pro for sure. Yeah, there's a few of those, I'm sure.
All right, so let's talk
I
about.
don't think Jackie had to go recruit Nederland. Coach Sherrill was. He was
What if
living in
Jackie
some
ever
more-
recruited Nederland and ran into Bronny down there? I wonder. They would have been around the same time or no?
A young Bronny?
12th man kickoff
Jackie
team.
Sherrill?
Ronnie.
Yeah, you're right. What
The
am I
80s?
thinking?
Way to age
I
yourself.
guess Bronny
Steve.
looks a lot older than he is.
He
What?
just sits there with his feet propped up on that desk and just milks every poor soul that comes in there for every piece of information he can get, just to pawn it off as his own later.
Is
Hot
this-
sports take.
Is this where he gets all his source information? Right here in the lobby?
This just started a couple months back.
ago,
He's
yeah.
like, I'm gonna start coming to the office more. I'm like, well, to do what? Just to sit in the lobby?
Yeah.
He knows
Gather
we're talking about
information.
him. He's probably blogging in right now to listen.
What do you guys want to see from the
later.
next head coach? Like intangibles, not necessarily candidate.
Discipline,
per se.
dude. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
I want to see somebody that runs a tight, disciplined organization. Here's what I've come to realize is that A&M, we can get the talent here,
Mm-hmm.
right? Between the facilities, the school, the people, the NIL, we can get the talent here.
Yeah.
We got to have somebody that can manage that locker room and the personalities. Think about it, Seth. When we were in the NFL, everybody's getting paid, right? We got contracts. We're locked in. You know, your motivation is to play to that next contract.
To keep getting
Yeah,
paid.
feed your
getting paid.
family, that kind of stuff.
But then how do you make sure that you're paying the right guys? Because that's really in the NFL what it comes down to. Because if you pay the wrong guys, you see where it goes. Their performance falls off.
Mhm.
They got their money. They're fat. They're happy. You gotta have somebody that's controlling the locker room, making sure that we're not paying guys that we should not be paying. You can make mistakes in the beginning, but you can't keep making those mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with the discipline aspect at all. I mean, look no further than I don't know. I don't know the intimate details of Alabama's track record on discipline. I really don't. But you're going to sit here and say that Nick Saban isn't a little bit of a jerk to his players?
you know
and
firsthand.
runs a tight ship.
You know
I mean, I know
firsthand.
firsthand that he has expectations, and if you don't meet them, then you're obviously at fault there.
Jimbo would get on them. He would yell and scream. But it's the follow. It's the follow up. It's the follow through. It's the enacted discipline after the fact. Like, I don't know how many places guys storm off of practice. It seems probably a little more common, but it happens a lot.
It's shocking. It's
Okay,
shocking that
there
you
you
could
go.
get away. No, I mean, I'm
But
serious
that's
about
my
that.
point.
I don't
Like,
care.
there should be kind of a rule, like, hey, if there's a week and a game goes by and you storm out of practice,
Yeah, you're done
you're
for
not
the
playing
week.
that week.
You ain't
Like,
It's just a set rule.
So you
my
can storm
best
off
player,
if you
my
want.
worst player, my
Bro,
I don't
I don't understand.
But I
how
hear
that-
about that kind of way too often.
So that was like, let's just pretend that that's the reality. That's like mind-boggling to me that was ever allowed. Like, you might have. I don't recall that ever happening.
Really?
I don't know, Steve. I don't know.
No,
I don't recall that ever happening
Even in
in
the
my life.
NFL.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, in my life, I don't recall a guy going, I'm leaving because he's mad at a coach. I mean, like, and then gets roundly accepted.
Bro.
So let's just.
I'm
That's
not
like
saying
the
it's
bottom
a
of the
daily occurrence, but
Yeah.
I know
It happened.
It shouldn't
more,
happen.
more than a handful
Period.
of
It
times.
shouldn't happen more than once.
Exactly, but that's like
The level of entitlement
right.
on your team for that to happen more than one time tells you everything
Right.
you need
Your
to know.
culture is what you
The
allow to
culture is
happen.
terrible
kind
if
of
that
thing.
can happen.
Yeah.
But how much of that is the transfer portal threat that they feel
Dude,
like,
go ahead. I mean, like, you have to
can't,
weigh
but
that.
You can do that, have that approach, but you can't, and you can't. It's but you need a coach that knows how to handle that, and you do need the discipline. You do need the heavy hand. You need the strength coach, I think, to be able to enforce that, and I think that was kind of lacking here.
So there are a lot of pieces like you can get away with that.
I'm sorry, you need to allow the strength coach to enforce it.
I agree with that. Like just from my time, Coach Clark. I love Coach Clark. I respected him. He's one of the greatest strength coaches I can ever think of, and I think a lot of people at A&M felt that same way when they played at A&M, and
he wasn't a jerk. He wasn't
a jerk.
No,
but that's a crucial piece that a lot of people don't think about, because you have 4 months with your position coaches and your head coach, and then you have 8 months with your strength coach. Well, I might just sprinkle in some spring drills, but right. I mean, your strength coach is part of your culture, like a huge part of setting the tone for your culture, your expectations, and your work ethic. Is like I can't put enough emphasis on getting that right.
It's the most important, to me, it's the most important position outside of the head football coach. Like, if your strength coach is not that guy, you can have great coordinators, you can have good position coaches, and you can have some success. But your strength coach is going to really be the second in command when it comes to culture and setting the culture of the team.
Yep.
And that's the way it's always been at every level.
100% agree.
I also want to see I wouldn't mind a defensive hire, like a defensive head coach with it's fine, but whichever it is, I want to see somebody come in with a entertaining, difficult to defend, fast-paced, high-scoring offense. I don't want the extreme version of everything I just said.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Right.
I don't want the tempo from first snap to last snap with nothing changing in between, and just try to score on 3 plays every drive. And
so something like kind of Tennessee, like something in that ballpark.
Yeah. When they're
not
going,
super high tempo, but they're
Missouri,
high tempo, right?
I like what they do up there. I like.
Ole Miss is too high tempo.
Yeah. Well, and Ole Miss, I think, is just once they get going. But my point is offensively enough, conventional enough that it doesn't hurt your defense.
Yeah.
Like Lincoln Riley and USC. Like
Right.
I don't think it's just an Alex Grinch problem. I think that's the way you practice to play against that off. Like I think that hurts you. That hurts your ability to play defense. That lends to shootout games where you lose games. And on a bad year, your team I'm saying they have so much talent, but on a bad year, your defense looks as bad as like LSU's does.
Well, we kind of saw that in 2013, didn't we?
Yeah,
to some degree.
Yeah,
I mean, we were a high tempo offense, scored lots of points. That's what our defense practiced against all year. And I know they were a little bit void of talent that year, but clearly there was some effect.
And someone was cognizant of that, and you still can't really stop it. It's just about the way you play. It's the pads and physicality and tackling and just you can't practice that way against that offense. And then when you play teams that don't run it.
And that's why I kind of embraced Jimbo and what he was bringing in, because it was kind of the opposite of that. It was more of like a pro style where you control the game, not just focus on scoring lots of points, but thinking about your defense and controlling the clock and everything. In the beginning, I was kind of like, this is good. This is hard-nosed football.
But they just couldn't get the offense over.
But then it came down to after we lost Kellen Mond, who was a great quarterback for that system, very efficient. Then it was like, dude, this offense, and I even noticed it in 2020. We talked about it. I'm like, dude, he's completing a lot of nice balls into freaking one foot window.
Amazing.
I'm like John Elway
I always
back
say
there.
he had a terrific year.
The
guy was
level,
like a 3rd round draft pick,
Yeah.
and it hadn't worked out for him yet.
but the level of execution that's required for this offense is unsustainable.
You're right. It's
unsustainable, and that's what we saw after Mon left.
And there are a lot of offenses.
Nuño's.
Oh, my bad.
He
Go
did
ahead,
this
Nuño.
like 20 minutes ago.
We're only 6 minutes late. When we come back, Freak of the Week and the Sleeper of the Week. Right now, we're talking about Heritage Films. That's Chancellor McLean's company. Heritage Films makes documentaries. Steve is.
I'm actually doing He's doing a video for my daughter's wedding.
Is that right?
Yeah, I hired him.
Most creative guy I know. He's awesome.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He really is. He creator of my song.
That's
the
right.
Inside Skinny song.
Which we should come back and play.
It's on Apple.
Is it on Apple?
It's on Apple Music.
Yeah?
The Inside Skinny.
Wow, that's 20 years old?
Yeah.
Oh,
or older.
Or older. Well, he does movies. He does documentaries. He shoots things. He's awesome. He does the documentary films that we've been talking about for a long time. He also does the Year Flicks, which are these 20-minute Q&As with your kids that can be more like a benchmark video. You can learn a little bit about them, stuff you didn't know, and then follow it up in a couple years and see how much they've grown from their likes, their interests, maybe what their major that they picked, whatever it may be. The phone number is 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341, or the website, yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com. Welcome back to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. I want to remind folks about our coaching search subscription special, $89 now through kickoff. 9 months, 37% off your monthly rate. Available this week only. New and previous subscribers only. Not available for current subscribers. Cannot be combined with other subscription offers. Go to texags.com/special for that information. Billy will have some little bit of nuggets later on today, I believe, or in the next couple of days. So you need to be a subscriber to get that information.
Today,
the source.
I'm just waiting on some things to kind of finish that off, go back and revisit and decide what I'm going to leave on it, take off of it. You know, there's
And then you'll post it, and somebody else will.
Yeah, take it to Twitter.
These people now, man, just no shame. It's like I'm not even wasting time talking about it. It's like,
yeah, we know.
It's like just throwing a piece of meat into that, into the Amazon and watching piranhas go after it.
I got that too.
What about the Glenn Schumann thing? That one is what really cracked me
awesome.
up. Seth texted me. He's like, "I'm all in on this guy." This was like 2 days into the search.
Because
I'm all in. Not because I read.
One guy started
it doesn't
that
matter.
thing.
It doesn't matter.
One
I
guy
read about
is
it,
like,
and I didn't know
all in.
anything about the guy, but I read about his background.
What about the background? The 2 years as a DC?
No, give me a break.
He bought in so quick.
What? That he worked for Nick Saban and Kirby Smart?
Those things, I wasn't like,
lot
I was
of
like,
people.
this is the, come on.
Dan
I'm not an
Lanning.
idiot, but I'm also not going, I cannot believe he's how we're not, I'm not that guy. But I was like, I could see the interest. I could
like
see the
that.
interest.
And there wasn't interest, so you couldn't see anything.
Okay, well, I'm just, you know what I'm getting at.
But I see what you're saying. Like, there's Georgia's DC. They're winning national titles.
Yes, okay, that's
Lanning just went to
Lanning
Oregon.
did it. I get why people were putting his name on a list. And if I was an AD, I would have had his name on my list right away too. And then I would have said, you know what, maybe not quite yet.
Not quite yet.
Not yet ready. I don't think anyone else at the top, I'm going to say top half of Power 5 is going to go do it this year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, ask me if I think that guy's going to be a head coach.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like
Absolutely.
Gerard Johnson. It's like Aggies on Facebook, former players just saying, hire Gerard. Gerard, take a risk. Hire Gerard Johnson as your head coach. One day. I would love, like, that guy as a head coach here, knowing him like I do. Problem is, I think he's going to be an NFL head coach one day. But right now, today, to Texas A&M and NIL and portal and keeping a roster together and assembling a staff and recruiting and just being a head. No, not yet.
Not yet.
But one day, absolutely. Like if the Gerard Johnson that I think's going this way, like between him, Aaron Glenn, and Dan Campbell, AG is going to be a head coach in the NFL real soon.
Right.
If I was A&M right now, I would at least talk to him.
Yeah.
And I bet they have. I would at least talk to him and say, hey.
We're definitely deserving
But
of a
those
conversation.
three guys are Aggies in coaching right now at the NFL level. That'll be head coaches in the league. I would love if one of those three would eventually make their way back here. But I think the timing of it, actually for all three, particularly Dan and AG, could be where this next coach.
So you brought something up, and I'd love
If it doesn't work here 4, 5, 6 years like the last few have, that would be the perfect timing probably for either one of them.
You brought it up about they don't have the experience in the NIL and the portal and this, that, and the other. How much? Because I don't know how much experience, honestly, that a coordinator would have. So what do you put on as the importance of getting that level of experience on the next guy? Do you think that that's a requirement, or that's one of those things you can learn and see what the coach you were at did? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but
I think it's a good question, but I think like someone like Traylor has probably been very involved in the portal with what they're doing. He's had to evaluate, and I've talked to coaches around the country, actually, a couple of them that said that their staff, they're terrific at evaluations. They copy them. They follow. It reminds me of like young Gary Patterson, what schools used to do. Oh, TCU offered him? Okay, we're going to look. Art Briles had that going for him at Baylor for a while. But like Elko, right? I think to go to Duke and have to run a program for 2 years, he's basically like promoting the in-house DC, except he had 2 years on-the-job training at a Power 5 school as a head coach.
Right.
I think that is very important. Coordinator-wise, like Lance Leipold, if A&M were to bring him from Kansas, there's a lot of stuff you don't know. You don't know how he can recruit in Texas. You don't know how he can recruit the Southeast footprint. These are things that you ask and you find out during the interview, and you get a feel for how confident and comfortable you are with that. Even with Elko, hey, what's it going to look like coming back here as a head coach recruiting wise? What are you? And you ask him how do you plan to attack the portal? The interesting thing about Mike Elko is you could ask him, compared to what you saw here, How do you where do you think there were shortcomings? I would be doing that if I was conducting an interview with him. I'd say,
sure.
what did you see that was wrong, and how do you plan to handle the portal, or how do you plan to,
discipline,
attack recruiting, all those things. But you're talking about the new age of college football.
Right.
If I were looking at a coordinator, it would make it a lot tougher, but you just have to ask the tough questions, and the guy that's going to impress you is the guy. And I'm not saying like Brian Hartline's name's come up at Ohio State. I don't think he'll be like, one of the down to the wire finalists, but he's an up and coming coordinator, right? Like if you're sitting there with him, and you or Schumann, whatever, and you're sitting there and you go, tell me your plan.
Mm-hmm.
And, you want to get a vibe from a guy like that he learned a ton sitting there under Ryan Day, that he has learned and absorbed and picked up a ton sitting there under Kirby Smart, and they can sit there and spit it out and have a very specific plan. This is how I plan to do things. I want a player personnel director here. He's going to answer to this guy, and this is the recruiting staff and team. I'm going to have a general manager, and we're going to have a whole player personnel department. And, so you want, the portal, I think, is so important that I'm actually going to dedicate a separate staff to, and you want to you're going to have to ask those questions, but I don't think just
you're hired, Billy.
Yeah, I don't think just of coordinators, though. I think of your head coaches too.
Billy Liucci for head coach.
Well, because
let's start it. Throw it out on
y'all get me hired.
Great.
Some of those things are, head coaches are going to be separating themselves in that regard too.
Yeah.
When Bjork and them are interviewing, you're going to ask those questions, and I'm going to like his answer and feel like yours. I'm going to go, I didn't get the vibe that I did from Seth. And
Yeah. People definitely will separate themselves through this process.
All right, let's hit a break. We didn't get to do Freak of the Week or the Sleeper of the Week. We'll try to do that when we come back. It's TexAgs Radio.
guys.
4.5 minutes to get through. We'll do pick 6 on text. So we'll have that up on TexAgs.com. Freak of the week.
Let's do it. I'll start.
Can we do a consensus freak of the week?
No, I don't know, consensus or whatever.
Dude, I picked Jalen Henderson last week.
Yeah, good job, buddy.
You did.
I'm gonna go with a program pick, and I'm picking E-Rob, man. I'm excited to watch what he can do and get done out there. I'm happy for him. He's done a great job of keeping this thing together, and I hope, from my perspective, I hope that they keep him around on the next staff. He's done a great job, and I can't wait to see his guys perform.
That's exciting for him. I mean, what a cool day. He's got 3 games to do it, but he's coaching at Kyle Field only once. That'll be this weekend. That's going to be
cool.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, good for him. I'm excited for him too.
He deserves it.
All right. I think Seth went with the freaking coach. Freak of the week. I don't know how to top that.
What a freakish performance by Elijah Robinson against
Amazing.
Christian.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I guess I'll go with the offensive line. I mean, I'd like to see no pressure, maybe 0 hits on the quarterback. We had a couple last week, a little bit of pressure, but that could have been partly from Henderson holding the ball a little long, trying to make plays. So let's say, what if we get 0 sacks?
Which we could have Mike,
which is that's not outrageous.
I think we could have Mike Henderson at quarterback this week and
Mike
do a good
Henderson,
enough job.
He could probably put up some decent numbers.
Yeah,
I'll go offensive line. I think they're gonna have a good week.
I'm gonna go with Jalen Henderson, and just to build on what he did last week, and really ramp up for this LSU game where they're gonna have to go in there and score a lot of points. And I would love to see him take another step forward and start number 2. I mean, if we're gonna pick coaches, let's my sleeper of the week will be Bobby Petrino.
Let's see the real Petrino offense.
But I want to see. The other guy that I could see being freak of the week is Anaya Smith. Last game at Kyle Field.
Yeah.
5 years,
Been a
record-setting
baller.
receiver.
Beast.
Look,
Does he have one more year of eligibility? Can we pay him?
He's got 716 yards. I would love to see him. Problem is, I don't think he'll play into the third quarter. No, well, that's a question too, but play into the third quarter. I'd love to see him have 120 or so yards and be sitting at 836 with LSU. And then we haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver here. Well, not since Jimbo got here, so at least 6 years. I guess Christian Kirk the year before was, but so I'd love to see that streak break too, or just for him, I'd like to see Anaya Smith find his way into the all-purpose, all SEC team this year because he deserves it.
Yeah,
Sleeper of the week, presented by the Sleep Station. Go see Jared McLeod. Ask about the Tempur-Pedic and Purple mattress. Specs parking lot of Texas and Harvey in front of Lowe's, William D. Fitch, and Highway 6 website, thesleepstation.com. Sleeper.
All right, give me DJ Hicks.
Okay.
I like.
All right. Interesting.
I feel like this is one of those weeks where the freshmen, young guys should get a lot of playing time in the second half. So I like to see him get back there in the backfield because the kid's an outstanding talent. All right, first of all, we haven't seen a lot of him this year. That's because the people in front of him, Seth, are really good. Okay?
Oh, wow. I was not debating that.
Interesting. Interesting attack on
I know. It's like a cheap shot out here.
Because I just could look in his eyes, just questioning my
Go ahead,
decision.
Seth. Hurry, Nuño.
Torian York. I know he's done great,
nice.
but I'm picking him.
I like that one.
And I think he'll have another great game, and I think it's going to the quickest game ever is what I predict out there because hopefully we can run the ball and stay on the field offensively, and then defensively we can get off the field and not have extended drives on that side of the ball. And it's going to take some effort out of York. He's done good.
Sleeper of the week for me, I'm going to go Deuce Harmon with a second week in a row.
Good game, by the way. Let's give those guys credit.
Well, Liucci called the
You did. That was right.
And I called
That's
the
right.
defensive touchdown.
Did you?
Yeah. We've got that
debatable.
documented.
Okay.
Both of them were called. They were. I mean, he can deny it all he wants.
He can deny it
It's
all he
actually
wants.
on tape. Nuño claims he's done that like 4 times this year, but no one knows.
Yeah, they talk about it.
I believe he'll have 6.
The hour's over. See you in a bit. And we are back. No prior experiences required. Welcome back to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here. That was an Olin line. You see how I worked that in, Billy?
Yeah.
Good times. We've got former Texas A&M head coach Jackie Sherrill here in studio, who's going to be honored by the 12th Man Kickoff Team Foundation tonight at Ford Hall at the Hall of Champions at Kyle Field. Robert Crouch, part of that first team ever, 40-year anniversary. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. I get up early, so it gives me. Only thing I couldn't find any coffee in the hotel.
Oh, is that right?
No.
I hope we took care of you here.
You did.
Hopefully that's not one of
TexAgs
Hunter's
coffee.
hotels.
No. If it was, I would have called him and woke him up.
That's right.
Well, Coach Sherrill, I want to start things off. How did the 12th Man Kickoff idea come to fruition? What made you think of it as a thing to do in that world of college football?
How much time do we have?
As much as you want.
There's a book written about it,
Yeah.
actually.
Well, working on the bonfire, go back real quick. The head Red Pot broke into my office, and I not broken. He just burst in my office, and he gave me a challenge in the spring of '83. He jumped in and he said, "You want to be the Aggie coach, or do you want to be just another Aggie coach?" So I took his challenge. He says, "Okay, follow me." So he put me in Elephant Walk, and that was James Fuquay. He was the head Red Pot. So fast forward, I would stop at the stack or pass by it on the way home, 11, 12, 1 o'clock at night, and finally stopped there, and he handed me a pair of pliers that had been passed down for 44 generations, taught me how to wire, and all of a sudden we're in the stirrup of the chain of the crane operator, and he's swinging us all around. The kids were really that dumb football coach up there. So fast forward, I came there one night, and one of the Red Pots had a small fire at a 55-gallon drum, and he was beating the drum with the axe handle. When he stopped, the junior Red Pots, which they're picked personally, slid down the stacks, ran over. The first one bent over, and he gave him 3 slats, and these are not pats now. And he turned around and he said, "Take your best shot," which means you get one more. And when he did, the axe handle broke. And when it broke, he took 3. So he had 7 slats. No expression, no movement. And I knew what that felt like because I was going through a club. And matter of fact, I walked out. And I said, "There ain't anybody here big enough to give me the last slat." But make a long story, so right then, that's when I said, there's 40,000 students. There's enough kids that are crazy as hell that we have no regard, will do anything to get on Kyle Field. Now, I wish I had been smart enough and I wasn't exactly what it meant. And it was one of the things that really changed the culture because it took our football team to the student body and it brought the football team to Kyle Field. And so it was something that really gave the students, I'm part of that field down there. And
well, that came to you later. That
yes.
You realized that after the fact.
Oh, I didn't know that, Billy, until years later, how important it was. And that's what I'm saying. I wish I'd been smart enough. But, I've always said if you're smarter than a 5th grader, you can't coach. So when I went to the staff the next morning, there was only one coach, Curly Hallman, because he, played here, went to school here. He understood, and none of the coaches, they looked at me like I'm crazy. And finally, RC spoke up, and he said, "Coach, I think you fell off that stack." But we put the ad in the paper, and 252 signed up for the first meeting, 2 females, and whittled it down to 40. They came out to spring practice, and then we always whittle that down. And just because you made it one year, you couldn't make it. But to give you some idea, their average was 12.5. The furthest one out was to the 30-some-odd yard line until we played played Auburn and Cotton Bowl, and Bo Jackson ran it out to the 43. but they're today the number one team in the country as far as Power 5 is Michigan with 13.8.
Wow.
So it wasn't like they wasn't good.
Right.
It sounds like an idea some poster on TexAgs would have today.
Right.
Let's get a bunch of students to go on Kyle Field and run down on kickoff. That's probably what the coaches thought when you walked in.
Oh, they really, and probably I was, but and I tried it at Mississippi State. Mm-hmm. It didn't work there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. A&M, it would work. Yeah. Because of the student body, their love for Kyle Field. You know, even last week when you had 83 plus, that's not normal.
Right.
No.
But it is here.
It is here. Robert, you were part of the first one. So how did you, did you see it in the bat and I've got to try this out? How did that come out?
Well, I was in the Corps Cadets at the time, and we were actually at the dining hall, and they brought the dining hall to attention, and we heard his voice that hadn't heard before. It was Coach Sherrill, and he said, I'm starting this kickoff team. We'd like for you guys to try out. And this place went crazy. I mean, this is our chance. This is, first off, being in the Corps, you got to be a little bit crazy.
Yep.
Then the opportunity to be a Texas A&M football player. Are you kidding me? This is a chance of a lifetime. And so we showed up, like Coach said, over 250. And Coach Bill was our coach at the time, and we ran a series of sprints, agility drills, and we thought making the 40 to go to spring training, we thought that was a good thing. No. That was almost getting killed on a daily basis.
Oh, it was.
Coach, we were talking earlier before we came in here, and he was talking about, you had to earn it in practice, and he believed in physical practice. I can sit here and tell you he believed in every bit of it. Every day with Coach Sherrill was a new adventure, and it was tough every day.
40 years, and with the way they're honoring you this weekend, I know you've been looking forward to it. We've been talking about it for a while now. Have you got to that, maybe you have a long time ago, but when you sit back and reminisce, not just on the magic you created here, but just a coaching career that was so storied and legendary here in College Station and elsewhere, what are how proud are you when you look back? Have you gotten to be able to now to the point in your life where you look back and you go, man, this was really special?
Billy, it's the players, not the coaches. Mm-hmm. And I've been very fortunate to have players that were not only players. I'm talking about some of the greatest ever played college football. It's what they do afterwards. And you look at the success that those players in the 80s, you look at the success they have in life, and it's off the charts. But as the coach, at that time, you're concerned about. Well, I'll back up. I thought I was a good coach when I came here. Had great success, 59-1 in Pittsburgh. We were always in the top 10, and then the first 2.5 years, were not. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're so-so. If we'd won one or two more games, then, we'd been very good. Well, that wasn't there, and I'm looking at myself inside, say, what's going on? I'm the same guy, same coach. I didn't get dumb overnight. Mm-hmm. So basically, that's when I understood you have to give your players more than X's and O's. And we started at that time, we wrote a manual, Making of a Champion, but it's one play, one player. It could be one game, excuse me, that turns everything. We had one player that turned this program around, Ray Childress. Mm-hmm. We go to Arkansas and get our butts beat. I mean, and it was raining and sleeting, and we put the first team quarterback out. Second team came in, and we couldn't stop him. And all of a sudden, I had nothing to say at halftime, Billy. Yeah. Oh, I mean, it was, and next week we're playing TCU. TCU wins. They go to the Cotton Bowl, win the conference. And Ray Childress jumped up, and I want to say it was like a Thursday in our meeting. He said, I ain't letting TCU beat me. And he was a one-man wrecking crew. But it gave the confidence to the players. I didn't do that.
Yeah.
It was their own teammate.
They'd had enough.
And so we beat TCU. We go to Texas. If we Texas wins, they go to the Cotton Bowl, and we turned around and beat them 37-12. And that started that one game, one player, one game started and turned the whole thing, A&M, around. And A&M, and Billy, you've been following this year. If we had had that one play or in one game early, it would have turned this season around.
Let me ask you this, because I know you're not, the last thing you're going to do is sit here and judge and critique coaches, but I'm going to take it a different direction. If you were sitting there and I said, Coach Sherrill, you're gonna make the next hire,
Billy,
what do you look for in that coach? The characteristics.
The bottom line is he a winner. I mean, and that's what A&M's looking for. Every kid that comes to A&M, and you go all the way back when A&M was founded, all military, and what we don't realize is how important A&M has been to the world, to USA. You know, you go back to the war, World War II, the whole student body was deployed. And you got 7 Congressional Medal of Honors out of World War II. You have, you know, and like Patton said, you give me a handful of Aggies and I'll win the war.
Yeah.
And they did. So there's A&M, if you don't understand A&M, if you don't use the tools of A&M, it's going to be difficult to win. And there's so many tools here you would love to use. So looking, Coach, is he a winner? Does he know football? Can he recruit? Today it's, you know, with the transfer portal, I'm glad it wasn't back when I was coaching. You know, we had a lot of players take off.
Yeah, you have a bad day. They might be
but
gone.
Then you look at the NIL, so everything has changed more, but you're looking for the right fit.
Yeah.
And is the coach the right fit for A&M? I mean, you can go back and look at a lot of great coaches. Same thing when I was hired, I was an assistant coach. When Bob Stoop was hired, he was an assistant coach. RC was an assistant. I mean, so it comes down, are you a winner? And you go back in high school, in college, you know, were they winners? Did they win championships?
Robert, tell me a little bit about tonight and tomorrow.
Well, we're going to honor Coach Sherrill tonight. Coach Stones is also here. He's coming to speak on behalf of Coach Sherrill. We're going to give out some scholarships. The foundation raised some money, so we're going to award some young kids some money to go to school. And then we're going to have a little auction, try to raise a little bit more money to keep this going. Then tomorrow, all the players that have played for Coach Sherrill that are here will be honored at halftime. And so we're going to just all stand up and say what a great coach he was. And Billy, to jump on something you just said, what would make a good coach here? Somebody follow Coach Sherrill's footsteps.
Yeah.
And that's embrace this place. He just read off history about this place that a lot of coaches don't know.
Right.
And if the next coach was to embrace this place like Coach Sherrill has and include everybody, then the players get it, and I think everything turns around for the better. So.
And before I let you go, can you remind us how the scholarship players treated you guys initially and then how you earned their trust afterward?
It's like getting beat like a redheaded stepchild. Like every day. We had practice before, which all we did was hit each other. Then we went to practice, and they put us in a position like a running back against Ray Childress, Johnny Holland. Some of the greatest players ever walk on on Billy Cannon. I mean, that was one of my funniest stories. I was supposed to block Billy Cannon. It's the #1 draft pick of the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm supposed to block him, so that didn't go real well. So the players, at first, it was all about why are you guys here? You really don't deserve to be here. This is just a fluke deal. We kept showing up. All these guys that were on that first team just kept showing up, taking a lick, and kept getting back up. We proved ourselves, and finally, to this day, some of my best friends.
That's awesome.
From those eras. Yep.
Fantastic.
No, they earned their spot because, no, and even Billy Pickard, you remember old Billy? He gave them the oldest equipment.
Did he really?
The dirty, the oldest jerseys, whatever. Billy didn't like it either at first.
Yeah, my helmet said Christopher Columbus.
Coach Sherrill, Mr. Crouch, thank you so much for coming in.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Appreciate you what y'all do.
Thank you.
Billy, go ahead and tell me who the next coach is so I can break it right now.
You know what? I'm gonna let we're gonna let like Taylor Swift break that this week. We want it to go a little more viral than to TexAgs.
You know, it's not easy right now to where do you go? Who do you find?
Yeah.
You know, and I've
very important.
Hats off to Ross because he's got a really a hard job but I think he will pick the right guy.
I do too. I think it is a. I've covered a lot of coaching changes here, unfortunately. I think this it feels particularly important right now.
It is.
Because we're still close.
Yeah, this is the most important job time. Coach Bryant called me after I took the job here, and he says, Jackie, you won't have to tell anybody how good you are. The Aggies will tell them for you.
Love that. I love that.
Well,
that's a great way to end it.
Well, I was going to say, to follow that up, somebody on the YouTube channel, Matt Tackle, says, please relay to Coach Sherrill how enjoyable it is for us to see him and hear him today. People are very appreciative of you coming in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with more. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in. All right, so this segment we're going to kind of just go through. We haven't said hello to people. We haven't opened up the Brian Foley Law Hotline. We haven't looked at the text messages. I haven't checked in with Nick Savage or Hannah. I guess we talked to Hannah for a second. Did we?
No. This is my good morning to y'all.
Well, welcome in, everybody. And how about that interview with Coach Sherrill? That was fun. Enjoyed hearing from him and Mr. Crouch and talking about 40 years. I always tell Coach Sherrill when I see him, I remind him, back in 1986, he was playing golf at Walden. My parents had a condo out there. And my brother yelled at me, "Hey, Coach Sherrill's in the clubhouse." And I ran because we watched all the A&M games. And I got his autograph, and my parents still have that autograph at the house. So it was good times talking to Coach Sherrill and throughout the years on this show and other stops that I've had. All right, let's check in behind the glass. We say hi to a guy by the name of Nick Savage. Nick, it's been an hour and 22 minutes, and I hadn't said hello to you. I don't feel like we've started the show the right way.
That's fine. I think everyone would rather hear from Coach Jackie Sherrill, Billy, Seth, and Steve McKinney rather than me. So what a way to start, but how freaking awesome was that? That's so cool to hear from Coach Sherrill and see him in here. Looks great. Glad they're honoring him. And just crazy recall he has, man. I can't remember what I had for like lunch yesterday, but he's pulling out scores from, when he was around coaching here. So really cool to see.
One thing that fascinates me is like when I watch like these documentaries and people have this recall of things that they lived through, right?
Uh-huh.
And their attention to the little details. And I'm like, because I've been a reporter for 20 years of my life. Like if I had to go through the 2017 Astros World Series run, there are things I can remember.
I can remember about 3 games from that series. Game 1, Game 5, Game 7.
Right?
That's it.
But like the little stories in between, I guess those would be hard. Like I almost feel like I'd have to like refresh.
Yeah.
And like Coach Sherrill's like that with it. And Billy, by the way, when he did the Johnny thing, the way his attention to detail, there are certain things that do stick out in my memory of things I've covered. Deshaun Watson being drafted, the Astros, the Rockets. I can remember stuff in the mid-'90s more than I can remember what happened a couple seasons ago for the Texans. But that just shows age. By the way, the 12th man, the whole idea of the kickoff team, like, can you imagine how they did that this year? I know they do it with one guy, but like the entire thing. Kickoffs this year were a problem, right? So I'm just saying, it's an idea for the next guy.
Like Coach Sherrill said, it was 40,000 students then. It's up to 70,000 plus now. You could probably find 11 crazy enough people to run down the field with their, like their heads are cut off.
Who from TexAgs, if given the chance, would try out?
Not me.
Bronny would try out.
But would you put him on the kickoff team, though?
Are you saying he's slow?
Like, yes, I am. Luke says.
Luke Evangelist?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, they would probably need like a 12-man water boy. So, yeah, absolutely.
I think Kennedy could do some damage.
The Cavs?
Oh, yeah.
Coach Sherrill did say a couple of ladies signed up.
Kay Nagley, for sure.
Yeah, oh, my gosh. How did we not even think of that? Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to Hannah there at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I know you got some news for us, and you also have some text messages to read here.
Yeah, we have a whole bunch because we're just starting off now. But
or not.
Go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
Hannah did bring that idea to us, right? David brought up Jackie and Mr. Crouch coming in studio. So props to you, Hannah, for bringing that to us.
Hannah.
Props to David at home. Props to my dad. Anyways, though.
No, you can let it marinate. Let your dad feel the moment. Mr. Crouch is good friends with your dad.
Yes. Yeah. I think he's a second cousin, actually, but...
They could still be friends.
Yeah.
Not all family members are friends.
Oh, yeah,
they
for
could be
sure.
both. What do you got for us?
So we have a couple of things today and a couple of things to look forward to, but swimming and diving, they're having an invitational today at noon. Soccer is at number 1 Florida State at 4:30 for the second round of NCAA playoffs. This is huge. This is a very big game for them.
Yeah, number 1 team in the country.
Correct.
Team that A&M on game 1 went toe-to-toe with and lost very late. I forget if it was the 85th minute, 86th minute. It was late.
Mm-hmm.
It was just as Coach G said in the studio, they had just one more shot at the end, and that ended up being the bad one. Go ahead.
That's right. And then men's basketball, they're playing Oral Roberts tonight at 7, so we're Pack and Reed again. They're on a 3-game winning streak. I know that Luke has been super excited about basketball. I've been getting excited about it. It's something that everyone can be, coming together looking forward to.
Let me throw in something too. I think
go for it.
If it wasn't for the head coaching search this week that has, obviously dominated the conversation, there's a couple storylines that I think have been subplots to everything happening at TexAgs. One of those being Jalen Henderson's performance. And we have talked about it, but I think it would be just much more about that. And basketball starting off 3-0 in non-conference play. And this with, I don't think, Wade Taylor looking his best so far, and he will find his rhythm. There's no doubt about that. Henry Coleman's looking great out there. I really like Jace Carter. I do. And I just like the way he plays. So Hayden Hefner's looked good. So there's been some good things that I wish we could talk more about. And as the year develops and goes on, we will certainly be doing more of that, Hannah.
I agree. It's been a crazy week. Women's basketball, they took their first loss of the season against Purdue on Thursday. It was 58-72, but they're expected to bounce back again on Monday against HCU at Reed, so they're packing Reed again. And then volleyball, they also lost to number 12 Kentucky last night, but they're going to play number 8 Tennessee on Sunday at 1, and they'll be back at home for that as well. So with the 12th man, I know that they can pull that one out.
Yeah, they need to. They need to. It's fun times here. There's a lot more optimism this week in all sports than we've had in a few weeks. So happy to hear that. Let's get to some text messages if you don't mind.
For sure. So from way earlier on this morning, I had a 210 number that says, do we think Anaya stays for one more year if we get a knockout coach?
I don't, because I think he's ready to move on. I'm not saying it's impossible. Like, let's see what kind of NFL draft grade he gets. But if you listen to his last interview with Billy, I don't want to say that they both were talking about, this being the last. They did talk about this possibly being the last game at Kyle Field. So I don't see that happening. Although if I'm A&M, I'm trying. Like, hey, this is what they're going to pay you in the NFL if you're a 3rd round, 4th round pick. This is what NIL can do for you here. Whatever ends up happening in the future for Anaya Smith. He is going to live in Aggie lore forever. A guy that we're certainly going to just. He's everything during this cloud. These last couple rough years, he's everything that's right with this program. He's the guy that keeps them going in a certain direction. Hannah.
All right. Next we have Cletus in College Station says, once Smitty left and went back to Oklahoma, our production dropped off. Great point on strength coach being important.
Super important. I wasn't here for Smitty's run, but I've heard nothing but great things about him. I'll say this. Actually, I guess I was here for a little bit of it. But the strength coach spends so much time with the players. It is like the entire summer. It's the whole thing, the whole buildup. It is a day-to-day kind of sets the tone. So no doubt, I 1,000% agree with that. Let's try to get another one in before we hit a break.
Just kind of bouncing off of that, there's a 760 number that says, y'all may have touched on the critical elements of Jimbo's demise. Jimbo started with the OU strength coach. Did we by chance lose him in year 4 because of Jimbo?
No, I think he wanted to go back to OU. I think that was part of it. It was just going back home. All right, let's hit a break. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, we're going to run my interview from Up to the Second College Football. We had a good conversation on that program. And one of the things that I found interesting when you listen to it is the fact that Adam Rittenberg said that, how did he phrase it, Nick? Let me see if I can give it it was almost like Jimbo didn't fit. And I don't know if I got that vibe, but some people did kind of get that vibe. So we'll talk about that. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. Look, when you got a car issue, right? And I'm not just talking about like service on your vehicle. I'm just saying like it's time to start considering a new vehicle. If you start your search at CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com, you're going to see the selection of vehicles that they have at the right price, right? But then when you step on the lot and you see the experience and you kind of go through the whole process, you're going to be like, this is different than the other places. And no, don't only take my word from it, but how about all these other Aggies that have done it? Billy's done it. I've done it. Bronny's done it. R.C. Slocum's done it. Dante Hall's done it. Like there's a reason that there's so much repeat business, and Aggies continue to go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. And they're proud supporters of Aggie athletics. They've been doing it for a long, long time. They care so much about this community, and they care so much about Aggie athletics. It's not a far drive either, guys. We're talking about a 15-minute drive, Brian to Caldwell, a short conversation away, but you will see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the good people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. And we are back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to play our interview with Adam Rittenberg. We're going to try to get OB in here around 9:50 to start the go hour a little bit early. And we'll try to get to your text messages. A lot of you have been texting. You can call the show as well on the Brian Foley Law hotline at 979-693-1150. But here's my interview from Up to the Second College Football with Adam Rittenberg, where we did spend a lot of time on the Jimbo situation and the future of Aggie football. Check it out. Adam Rittenberg here on Up to the Second. All right, our next guest has been all over the Jimbo Fisher story and Texas A&M's future there on ESPN. Adam Rittenberg joining us here on Up to the Second. Adam, how you been, bud?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So I don't want to say were you surprised by the Jimbo firing, because I think anytime a coach doesn't live up to expectations, a firing does happen. But maybe surprised it happened when it happened.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those that I think you had to always be watching, but certainly the timing, came as a bit of a shock because it was such a big buyout. But here's the thing, and thinking about it more, and maybe we should have been in this mindset prior to the decision, that you look at the out years, the 2024, 2025, it wasn't like this thing was going to go down to $15 million. Like, it was going to be an expensive move whenever they decided to do it. And I think in college athletics, even though it's run in such a emotional and kind of wild, crazy way, one thing that's clear is that when you know it's not going to work, you can't keep going. You have to pivot. You have to change direction. And I think there was enough evidence, especially since the 2020 season, David, that once that it wasn't going to work with Jimbo, they weren't going to win a national championship. They weren't going to win an SEC title. And so at that point, I think I understand, even though it was incredibly expensive, historic in that sense, why they pivoted to, making the change that they did.
Adam, the funny part is, while I agreed with the initial contract, I did scratch my head at the extension, but it made sense at the time. Maybe not the extension itself, but the raise made sense to me. And I'm looking at these numbers, 2031, my sons are sophomores in high school. They'll be out of college when that contract was supposed to be done.
Yeah, I kind of joked it's like the Jim Bonilla contract. It's it's the Bobby Bonilla contract for football, and it's the most glaring example, but certainly not the only example of what happens when you emotionally spend. I mean, if you or I ran our personal expenses, or really like any of these folks, maybe they're rich enough that they can do this, but if we ran our personal expenses like donors run college athletics and departments, especially spending around coaches' salaries, we'd all be broke. I mean, it's just a crazy way to live your life. But this is what happens when you when you're driven by the emotion and the possibility of championships, and that certainly was motivating, and understandably so, for Texas A&M on the front end. I'm with you, probably less so on the second time around. In some ways, it's those extensions, not the initial contracts, that get schools in big trouble. And certainly was the case here for A&M with Jimbo. It was the case with Auburn, with Gus Malzahn. The idea of losing a coach, especially to a competitor in the SEC, in this case it would have been LSU, in that case it would have been Arkansas, is so painful for some folks that they'd rather just throw money at the problem, or at the potential problem, the situation, and deal with the consequences on the back end. And that's the typical pattern of behavior I've observed in covering college football and in covering the coaching carousel, is that there's just such a fear of what happens if this coach leaves us for another school in the SEC. How are we even going to wake up in the morning? The truth is, you'll be fine. And I think more of these coaches need greater self-esteem. Like, your program is still pretty great, regardless who the head coach is. They want to leave, that's their right. We will be okay. There's less of that thinking in my mind, David, because there's just such a fear of, oh my God, we lost our coach to fill in the blank.
Adam, I do want to go back to that for one quick second, because remembering what it felt like in 2021, August of 2021, A&M had come off that 2020 Orange Bowl season, and the fear of Jimbo going to LSU was real. And at that point, it felt like you're ascending. Unfortunately for A&M, they ascended, and then came that steep cliff.
They did, and it really was kind of a one-year deal. And what's so ironic about that was a season where it was an all-SEC schedule. And there certainly were some factors in 2020 that, were obviously different from many, many other seasons. But the fact is, that was a really good team that held its own in a very tough conference. And it was a deserving top 5 team that year. But they just never were able to harness that going forward. And despite the recruiting, despite the money, despite the NIL efforts, they weren't able to get back to that place, or really remotely back to that place. And so that's why they decided to make this move when they did, and reset, still with a lot of good players, still with a lot of the things that have made Texas A&M a position to compete, even though they haven't for a long time. And they're going to try it with a new coach.
So who do you think that new coach might be? I know there's those wish lists out there, and I look at the Mississippi State wish list. Some of them seem to be some of the same names, because there's only one huge opportunity right now. We'll see how the rest of the season plays out. What do you think? What do you think's the right fit for A&M that is realistic?
Right. I think it's somebody who really has a vision for roster building instead of just, it's tough in college football because sometimes when you have access to the best talent, the knee jerk is just to grab whatever you can. And I think what happened at A&M was because they had that ability, they just grabbed at talent instead of thinking, does this person really fit here? Is this person going to work in our culture, make us a better program? So I think it's somebody who has that vision. I do think it will matter this time around, David, to have somebody a little bit more connected to the program. I know that hasn't been the case, in the past at times. Certainly wasn't the case with Jimbo. Really had not been in that state or around the Texas A&M program before he got the job. But the two names that jump to mind are not surprising in Mike Elko and Jeff Traylor, and that both of them would be, I think, a lot more comfortable maybe walking in the door to that situation, especially for Mike. He'd been there. He did a good job as an A&M assistant defensive coordinator. He understands the place and the pressure and all of that. And then Jeff Traylor, I think, would just be a huge hit for that community. He's a guy who connects with people from Texas, anywhere in Texas, but especially East Texas. And then I don't think there's a college coach, even Mac Brown, who is more popular among the high school coaches in the state of Texas than Jeff Traylor does. Does that mean, you still have to recruit other places? You still have to be active in the transfer portal. But I think that A&M would have a real opportunity to be the top recruiting operation in the state of Texas if they went with somebody like that. Dan Lanning made it pretty clear last night he's not coming there. Certainly, there's other candidates that are notable, but one thing that works against A&M here, I think, especially when you're talking about Kalen DeBoer or even a Dabo Sweeney, I know he was asked about it today, is that you're asking coaches to leave programs that have proven to win championships and compete nationally much more recently than A&M has. So you're asking them to take that leap of faith, and you certainly can offer all the things that A&M can, and very few programs can do that, but you can't say, hey, listen, we can win here. Say, maybe we can win here, but he knows if you're Kalen DeBoer or Dan Lanning or Dabo Sweeney, you can win where you're at. You don't know for sure if you can win in College Station.
Adam, when I'm in the preseason thinking about scenarios out there, I thought, all right, Michigan's probably going to win the national championship. Jim Harbaugh is going to leave on a high note and go to the NFL because that's what I think he's wanted to do the last couple of years, right? That might still happen, but maybe for different reasons. So do you think Jim Harbaugh's at Michigan next year?
Well, if he wants to be, I mean, that's the thing people need to realize. Like, even if they get hit with horrible violations, Michigan has taken a position that Jim Harbaugh is their guy. Their president, Santaono, is the biggest Harbaugh fan on the campus probably right now. Fans want him there. The administration, I know there's been some friction, but they have gotten behind him amid all that's gone on here with the Big Ten suspension. And I think Jim Harbaugh loves this in a weird way. He's the type of guy that loves to have everybody against you. He probably loves the Michigan versus everybody shirts and beanies that the players are wearing now, and the fact that that they're rising above this controversy. So I think in some ways he's probably likelier to remain at Michigan than maybe he was when things were going great, because he certainly had an interest in getting back to the NFL. I don't think that interest has gone anywhere, but the thing that everyone needs to remember is the NFL team has to say yes. And there's other options in the NFL. There's other options in college football. And there's really not very many NFL jobs relative to college jobs every year. Maybe you get to 5 or 6. So if those people have candidates internal or coordinators or what have you, if they hire those guys, there's no room for Jim Harbaugh. So I think with the jobs that are likely to open this year, there's a pretty good chance. We already know there's one open in Vegas. Chargers, I think, will open. The Bears, I think, will open. All those are possibilities for Jim Harbaugh, but it doesn't mean he's going to get it. So I would still go with Michigan versus the NFL as the likelier destination for Harbaugh in 2024.
Adam, last thing for you. Georgia, Tennessee this weekend. Am I being a prisoner of the moment, or has Tennessee been a huge disappointment this year, considering I knew they weren't going to have Hendon Hooker? I didn't think they were going to have the success that they had last year, but I also didn't expect for Missouri to make the leap that they made.
Well, I think Missouri's really good. I mean, I think Missouri, and you could ask people at Georgia, Kirby Smart was very complimentary of them. I think they've taken a significant step. That was a program that was better defensively last year. They really moved in the right direction on that side of the ball. And then the quarterback play took a big jump this year with Brady Cook. The running back Schrader has been outstanding. Luther Burden is an All-America candidate at receiver. And I talked with Eli Drinkwitz a few days ago, and he said, those are guys that can change the game, and we didn't have that before. So, and their defense has continued to ascend. And certainly the performance last week was disappointing for Tennessee. And, a little bit of a reality check of where they're at right now. And if they were to struggle against Georgia, I think some of that early Josh Heupel buzz is going to die down a bit. But they did lose a lot of really good players. Let's just be real. I mean, they lost great players at quarterback, at receiver, offensive line. Their defense still isn't quite where they think they want it to be in the future. So I still think Josh Heupel is doing a heck of a job. But I also give Missouri a lot of credit. Right now, you could make a case, and I know LSU beat them, but you could say Missouri has an argument to be the third best team in the SEC, if not the fourth, right behind LSU.
Adam, appreciate your time, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that is the up to the second interview with Adam Rittenberg. One thing I've noticed, by the way, is that the guy sitting to my left at the moment has been wearing a lot more Rangers gear ever since they got good. I don't remember a lot of Rangers. I remember Stars. That I've always remembered. Rangers, this is a bit like, hey, I'm going to jump on the bandwagon almost before the World Series. That's what it feels like to me.
Do you want to be like proud of me for a second?
Yeah, sure.
This was more like, oh, hey, in April when I went to the game, yes, I saw one of the 5 DeGrom starts this year.
Yep.
I could actually fit in some of this stuff again, so I'm going to get some nice new clothes. So it's just that.
Okay.
But I have been wearing it since April.
Since April, really?
Yeah.
Really?
I bought this shirt in April.
Okay. I just feel like it's here, there, and everywhere.
Everywhere. Me and Richard and I went to DeGrom Day, start number 2.
I remember that one. I do.
Start number 2. And I sat there that day in the thing and said, the Dodgers should really hang a World Series banner here because the Rangers never will. And look where we are now.
A few months later, they did.
It's good to see you, David.
Good to see you too, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
You going to break the news on who the new coach is, since you know?
The new head coach. Oh, I got to go. Phone call.
Milliken Reserve time, farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. Speaking of those homes, they've got neighborhoods at Milliken Reserve are nothing like your typical subdivisions, based entirely in that Brazos Valley landscape, closely linked to the land. With deep Texas roots, there's no place like Milliken Reserve. Here's a couple of the neighborhoods you'll love. The Creek. These homes are on 10-plus acre wooded estates. You've got the Hollow in a private gated community, and you got the meadows that are responsive to that natural surrounding, following the lead of early local Texas agriculture. It's an awesome place to go. Learn more about the neighborhoods at millikenreserve.com, but about the lifestyle when you go out to Milliken Reserve, you're going to love it too, because they're committed to maintaining and restoring a natural habitat. Variety of native species find their homes there in the preserved woods, the ponds, the creeks. You've got white-tailed deer, songbirds, rabbits, and turtles out there. You can go hiking there, you can go biking, you can go canoeing, kayaking, you name it. You can have a great time. The website is millikenreserve.com. Again, that is millikenreserve.com. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We are a few minutes away from the 10 o'clock version of the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. And because we're a few minutes away, I thought we'd bring in my partner, Olin Buchanan, on the show. Olin, it's been a long time since I've seen you, bud.
Yeah, it's been, more than 24 hours.
How you been, buddy?
I've been good. I slept a little bit later today.
Didn't that feel good?
Yeah, got a little bit of a workout in. Want to go back later today.
Good.
But, listen to the final countdown, which wasn't
fun.
final, but that was fun.
Well, we should have changed it to the early countdown.
The early countdown?
Yeah.
I always enjoy listening to the McKinney
McKinney's?
brothers. Yeah.
Did you get a chance to read the ESPN article on
from David Wilson?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. What'd you think?
Well, if it's all accurate, I think it answers a lot of questions, doesn't it? Look, I just wish Jimbo Fisher would have, and I know he wanted to win for A&M, but I wish he would have wanted to win so bad that he would have been able to give away control of the offense, because then he could have been a successful coach here.
But sometimes you are who you are, buddy. You know, when we were talking about Draymond earlier in the week, and, you know, like, you have to really want the change to change.
That's true. But it's like everybody, everywhere, could see the problem except the guy who was the problem.
That's why you have to surround yourself with people that don't tell you exactly what you want to hear always. That don't have to fear for their job if you disagree with them. That's why you have to surround yourself with strong personalities. That at the end of the day, it's still your choice, but you value their word.
I just always go back to the best coach in college football history. Hire somebody else to run his offense. I mean, what more do you need than that?
No, because everybody thinks that they've got the answer. Like,
yeah, and maybe sometimes they do, but you know what? Like I said, if you'll just look in the mirror. Somebody was saying, Coach Sherrill. I heard Coach Sherrill say, we weren't winning those close games, and I had to look at myself and figure out what was wrong. And he said, I figured out, hey, I got to give them more than X's and O's.
Yeah.
Well, and look what happened here when Jackie Sherrill looked at himself in the mirror and said, okay, I got to change some things. I guess they don't have mirrors in the Fisher household.
So the first thing that they should do, whoever the new head coach is, put
get a
mirrors
mirror
all around like a gym. Just everywhere you look, you can see yourself.
I heard you have that at your house.
I have it above the bed.
Oh, yeah, on the ceiling. Yeah,
I do.
I figured that goes without saying.
Yeah, of course. I guess we got to go. He just yelled. Did you hear him yell?
Yeah.
I think we have a minute. I don't know what he's talking about. Why'd you yell at us, Nick?
Maybe he was saying that he has.
Oh, hey now.
Oh, maybe he figured. I was going to say maybe he was just saying, hey, I got mirrors too.
I got mirrors too. Who doesn't have mirrors? All right, let's hit a break. When we come back, 3 things we want to see. Okay, we'll go through your matchups. We'll go through our pick 6. We'll go through bank on it. We got the Go Hour. Will be at the 10 o'clock hour, and that is presented by our friends at the CC Creations, the warehouse at CC Creations. That, and of course, your text messages or the phone calls on the Brian Foley Law Hotline 979-693-1150 is TexAgs Radio. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 3, now the go hour, just for today, one-day special here on TexAgs Radio, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. He's Olin Buchanan. He's our Heisman Trophy voter. He's looking very elegant today with his TexAgs fisherman shirt.
Yep.
Good day to you, sir.
Good day. I didn't think of it being a fisherman shirt.
What is it?
I mean, I guess it is. I just didn't
right?
think of it that way.
Yeah, it's a good shirt.
Yeah, thank you.
Quality.
I like it.
So we don't have to go through the pleasantries, but I do want to. Has there been more of a pep in your step this week?
I don't know if I'd call it a pep in my step, but I feel like there's new hope.
Yeah, like Star Wars.
That the status quo that needed to be changed isn't changed yet, but like
it's changing.
But it's changing, right?
Yeah.
And I hate saying that because, again, fundamentally as a person, I like Jimbo Fisher.
Sure.
But I like the Texas A&M football program more. And I want it, and all those Aggies like I've talked about before that have given so much money and love and blood, sweat, and tears to the program, they need to be rewarded. And I don't think they were going to get rewarded by a coach that couldn't see that he was the problem.
I don't think changing the head coach at the end of a season necessarily fixes everything, because a lot of these things start in January and continue on through spring practice. Some of the focus, the attention to detail, the schemes, all that stuff is done months in advance, right? But I do feel
schemes don't matter.
No, I disagree with that. I think schemes do matter.
I think that was when I thought that quote right there was when I thought, okay, this is a lost cause.
But I did think, and look, I don't know if I was wrong, but in retrospect, somewhat wrong. Like, I did think, just block better. That offense works better. And I still think that. And we've seen better blocking for the last 6 quarters. Now, have we seen better blocking because, all right, you got to get rid of the ball quicker, guys? Is that why? But I do think part of the problem was the complex offense that balls had to be thrown in a particular window, that you had to make your cut here. Like the thinking that all the quarterbacks had, minus maybe Connor, who didn't seem like he was processing as much information. But Haynes looks slow, Zach looks slow. We'll find out about Jalen as he moves on, but it might be different moving forward. I felt like it was just too many things happening for good things to result.
I agree. And I'm not a football coach expert on offense to look at it and say, okay, this is where they're going wrong here and this, but I can look at a bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
And the bottom line was these guys were losing games where your opponents are scoring it, in the 20s and sometimes not even in the 20s. Hello, where's the problem then? And, say we're blocking better, and yet you lost your second quarterback for the year within the last 2 weeks too. So getting rid of the ball made sense. I said this yesterday, and I didn't even think about it this way until yesterday, but this offense being a problem. You had still on the offense, you had Devon A-Chain, you had Aniyah Smith still, you had Evan Stewart, and take it for what you will, you had a quarterback that's like 4th in the ACC in passing on the same offense, and you scored 7 points as an offense against Appalachian State.
Oh my God! Please stop.
If that couldn't have been the cold slap in the face that you needed to change your whole approach to offense, what would have been? And I still think they didn't get everything they could have gotten out of Devon A-Chain.
Well, I do think if you go back to Dave Wilson's report and what he was told, that's why I'm excited about this weekend, because Billy talked about Bobby in the first segment of the show, it just wasn't what he thought he was signing up for, which a lot of the pundits said, well, we're going to see if Jimbo really allows him to do what he wants to do. I don't expect for this weekend against Abilene Christian to see this amazing offense, because they better not show a lot of stuff. But I do want to see.
Well, they should be able to line up and beat. They could play it as vanilla as possible. You know what? That comes to mind, and I know this is like poor me kind of thing, but at SEC Media Days, I wrote a column, and I got just lambasted by our readers for basically raising a red flag because Jimbo Fisher had refused to acknowledge. Remember he was asked about Bobby calling the plays. He said, well, it's a process. A bunch of people and whereas Eli Drinkwitz, and look what they're doing, said, I brought in this guy because we needed to be better, and he's going to be in charge of the offense. He's going to run it, right?
Yep.
And we're making that. And, if we go back to that, I think that moment at the time just seemed like a coach that was just, talking like he does all over the place. Yeah. But in retrospect, you go back to that moment, I think it told us everything we needed to know.
Which is what the national media was worried about when talking about this partnership with Jimbo and Bobby. And by the way, the offense was better. I don't think it anywhere reached the potential it should have, right?
No. You can't score 13 points against Tennessee. Right? Did you see how many points Missouri scored on them? And say, oh, yeah, look how they reached their potential.
What about the people who said, but they're on their backup quarterback? Like, you can't. And I'm one of those, by the way, because I do think it makes a difference.
Yeah, and my retort is with Ed Orgeron as his head coach, that backup quarterback threw for 2,800 yards and 27 touchdowns. With Ed Orgeron as his coach.
Yeah. Let's do, we're running our mouths with 3 things we want to see, brought to you by Brazos Running Company, your local Aggie-owned specialty running store where you can find Brooks on Hoka shoes, located at Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill in College Station. 3 things against a team that you expect for big things to happen.
I want to see dominance.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see a shutout. I want to see 50 points.
Dominance, shutout, 50
I
points.
want to. You know what I want to see, and A&M. I know, and this is a problem when you don't have Aggies in charge of stuff all the time. I wanted to see Tony Franklin on the sideline being acknowledged, and Ove Johansson. This is the only connection between. You saw my comment.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
The only connection between a team that's a sacrificial lamb coming to slaughter, right, and A&M. The only thing that makes the matchup interesting is that what a perfect time if you'd have been thinking about it as a program to say, hey, let's invite these guys back and let's make a kind of a memorial. Sounds like they died, but commemorate what was one of the craziest days in college football history. But somebody was asleep at the wheel over there. I guess I would say they had other things to worry about, but that's something that you would have scheduled several months ago.
Yeah.
But I want to see them I want to see them look like a team, an SEC team, what an SEC team should look like in blowout weekend. And this is blowout weekend.
And Anais and
I want to see Anais do great things.
Anais be done in a half.
But no, you know what? I want to see Anais do great things because it's his last game here. And has anybody been a better representative, better soldier, better anything than Anais Smith?
He's everything.
He's everything that you want a Texas A&M player to be.
Yep, he's exactly that. Here are my 3 things.
Okay.
I want to see Jalen Henderson continue to grow as a quarterback. Accuracy, poise, etc. I expect him to have pretty good numbers because of the competition. But I just want to see him command the offense. That poise that I saw against Mississippi State, I just want to see an extension of that, more of that, okay?
Okay.
I want to see this defense force turnovers. And I'm talking turnovers, more than one, like a lot.
Yeah,
okay?
You're going to get that.
And I want to see Marcel Reed play.
Okay.
Yeah, and I want to see him play well. I'd like to see it. I'm very intrigued by him. I'm very happy we have Jalen Henderson, but I'm intrigued by what Marcel Reed can become. I want to see a lead so big that Marcel takes over and gets a lot of reps.
Did Billy say, because I wasn't hearing it all, and I may not have heard, did Billy say that Max Johnson's out for the year?
He kind of, no, I think the way he phrased it was, we lost another quarterback for the year. I think it's what he said.
Yeah, so I said, oh, is he out for the year?
I don't know if it's a for sure thing, but like I think.
I know there's not a whole lot of year left.
I mean, if he's somebody who decides to say that Texas A&M, will he be around for the bowl game?
So I was thinking, so it's Marcel Reed in Baton Rouge. I mean, not Marcel Reed. It's Jalen Henderson in Baton Rouge. Okay,
more than likely.
Okay,
we'll see. I don't think he's said it for sure. But I do want to see Marcel Reed this weekend.
I do.
And we saw him at the end of last week, but I want to see more of it.
Why not? He can play in every game that they're still going to have him in red shirt still.
It's I don't know, just this whole thing, like what we started the segment with, OB, was like, I'm hopeful, right? I am hopeful that they can beat LSU, and I wasn't. I might pick them to beat LSU next week. I haven't picked them to win a road game in forever. Like, I might pick them, and this may be because I'm being a fan at the moment, right? Which is okay.
Ryan Broniger.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take his advice. So if you're watching the post-game press conference tomorrow, he suggested that I ask Elijah Robinson tomorrow, when are y'all going to Baton Rouge? Are you going to go on Thursday?
Can you change? Like, I
don't know.
Yeah.
It may be one of those things you've already paid and you have to go. But, A&M has a history, you might know, of not being necessarily fiscally responsible.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say just because we paid for it doesn't mean we have to go on Thursday. I heard Seth talk about how much he hated just going on Friday and having to wait all day for a for a night game, right? So, yeah, I'll be interested to see.
If you were the head coach, when would you leave? Would it be Friday morning? Would it be
Friday morning.
Afternoon?
Friday morning. I mean, it's Friday.
I mean, Baton Rouge is what? I just did it the other day. It's an hour flight.
An hour flight.
You can go at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You could get all your classes done Friday.
Well, I'd say morning. I mean, okay, like if they left at noon, that makes sense to me.
Go to your classes, have your meetings, go have a nice dinner, relax, whatever your routine is post 6 o'clock. Continue on.
Yeah, I like I said, I'd probably leave Friday morning, but maybe they have to leave Thursday now. Maybe they've already made all these arrangements with a caterer and all these things.
But you know what? If I'm Elijah Robinson, and whatever he's doing, I'm sure is great. Like, it's not that he needs advice from me. Make it uniquely your team for the next 3 weeks.
Well,
3 games.
Absolutely. And the first thing you could do is probably say, all right, we're gonna go on Friday. But
you know what you do? This is what you do.
You do whatever you want.
You give your keys to Bobby Petrino, which
he said he was going to do.
And hey, you do your thing. I'll talk to you on the mic, or if you're on the sidelines with me, we'll chit chat. But that is your offense.
I'm going to decide when we're going to go for 2. I'm going to decide when we're going to go for 1. I'm going to tell you, Coach, I'd like to speed it up here. I'd like to slow it down here. You call the plays, but this is what I'd kind of like for you to do. I'm going to manage the clock.
I'd have.
I'm going to organize everything.
I'd have my system in place for like how timeouts are going to work. Who's my guy to kind of remind me of the situation, like all that. Like, that's what, to me, this ACU game should be for Elijah. It's like, learn what it's like to have all the bullets coming at you. And okay, I got to figure out. I forgot about that. I got to be on top of this. Yeah. Dirk, you handle your defense the way you do, and Bobby, go cook, Bubba.
Yeah, well, I was with you till you mentioned Dirk. So.
Well,
okay.
Dirk, you do what you do, but
let those guys attack. Yeah, don't drop your ends into coverage. If you need coverage that bad, put another DB back there.
But allow coaches to coach.
Yeah,
and then assert your will when you need to. Make it your team.
I think you're going to see that from him. I like him. And we said this yesterday. I'm not going to have a reaction, positive or negative, to the next head coach, but I would not be adverse at all. I mean, nationally, the national guys who always want to take shots at A&M, they would take shots if they just elevated Elijah Robinson. I wouldn't have an issue with it at all.
I wouldn't either, but I think they need to. When I say take their time, not take their time. Like, there's a window you want to get this done by. But, like, do your due diligence. Talk to everybody you want to talk to. Cast a wide net and figure out the fit for the program, the fit for what we want A&M football identity to be from a recruiting standpoint, from the X's and O's standpoint. Do we want – because I want a better offense, right? But I don't want to get too far away from our identity, which is a wrecking crew type of defense. Can we merge those worlds? Does that mean a defensive head coach who brings in a hotshot OC? Or does it mean you keep Bobby Petrino? I don't know what it means. I know there's many people who want to wash their hands of everything that's left, right? Maybe minus Elijah. I'm not saying that's the right way.
If Bobby Petrino wants to be here and if he wants and he's given the reign to run his offense, to call his offense, I saw enough of it to think it'll be successful and explosive.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've seen, if we've seen any of Bobby Petrino's offense, we've just seen flashes, I believe.
Yeah. No.
Because what I saw was the same old stuff from the last 3 years.
Over and over.
Over and over.
And as good as Kellen was, and Kellen was really good, I do think football's changed since 2020, though. I mean, it just has.
Well, I think they just had better players than everybody else that year. You know, they had better players. You had a senior offensive line with 2 NFL players on it and 3 other guys that got NFL looks. You had Leal and Clemens and, a bunch of good guys on defense. You had Isaiah Spiller and Devon Achane.
Yep.
You had Anias. I mean, you just had better players than most of the and remember, most of the games came down to the fourth quarter, and then A&M just used their better players and took control.
Yep, exactly right. All right, let's hit a break. I purposely said I'm not doing Fargo's special without Olin Buchanan in studio. I was like, because I don't know, man. It wouldn't feel right. You know
what would feel right?
Friday, some
catfish, some coleslaw, some corn, and some crunchy hush puppies. That'd feel right. Yeah. That'd feel right in my belly.
Yeah, for me, everything but the coleslaw. But I recognize coleslaw being in the Hall of Fame of foods.
I like that roughage that it provides.
Yeah,
I do like coleslaw. I didn't like it 10 years ago, but I like it now.
How did it evolve?
I don't know. One day, maybe it was longer than 10 years ago. Had some on a pulled pork sandwich.
You're like, this is not bad.
And I went, yeah, but this works. And then I started eating it by itself. I said, I actually like this. Yeah. Not only can I do it, but I like it.
I exercise my rights to eat coleslaw.
And I like it at Fargo's, and I like corn, and I like crunchy hush puppies, and I really like catfish. I mean, I'm a country boy.
Yeah.
So I like catfish. I'm wearing a fish shirt.
But you didn't know it was a fish shirt, but it's in your DNA. It's what you do, like going to Fargo's.
That's right. Get some catfish. And you know what? But if I decided I didn't want catfish today,
you have options.
I have other options.
It's
I can
not
get the
communism.
pork ribs.
You
I can
get
get
what you want.
The chopped beef. I can get the sausage and the chicken. You can get it all.
You can get a mishmash and just keep going.
I put a feed bag on me, a Fargo's feed bag, and I'll just eat it up.
I hope we make a meme out of that. That's what I hope we do.
I'll just eat it up.
No, the way you had your hands all up in it. Fargo's been around for about 22 years, 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. Without a doubt, the what?
The best barbecue in Texas, i.e. the best barbecue in the world.
It happens to be their trademark.
Well, because I want to eat it up, and it's true.
I can't even follow that up. It's Fargo's. It's your jam right here?
The Stones. The Stones are great.
Mick Jagger. Guy's cool.
Mick and Keith. Charlie passed away. Bill. Right. Yeah.
Who is your favorite band of all time?
Of all time?
All time.
Oh, gosh. Might be that one. Might be the Stones. I mean, I like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. A big fan of that. But all time, you put me on the spot. The Jimmy Buffett and the Coral Reefer Band.
Yeah. The reason I ask is what I'm about to tell you is something that maybe 4% of our audience is going to care about. But I think if we apply it to people you like in music, you can understand where I'm coming from.
Okay, I want to hear this.
So as I'm driving to work this morning, I noticed that Andre 3000, a rapper from my youth, from Outkast. So I know I lost you on that.
Yeah.
Had a new album out.
Oh,
okay.
How about that?
And I was like, I'm gonna check it out on my way to work. Just a few minutes, just get a little sample, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I fast forward through a lot of it. The first 8 songs were all instrumentals. There was not one rap, one singing. So like, if Mick Jagger came out with an album and he doesn't sing in it at all, would that kind of perturb you?
Perturb? I don't know. I think I'd be surprised. I'd say, what's the point?
Yeah.
Because I didn't even think he could play an instrument. And then one time I saw him doing a video of him singing at Austin City Limits, Bob Wills is Still the King. And I don't know if he's just strumming the guitar, but
I just think...
Which is pretty cool, English rockers in Texas singing Bob Wills is Still the King.
If you're a legend, you should play some of your hits, right? You should do what you do well.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? I mean, you can experiment a little bit, but then kind of come back to what made you you. Am I wrong?
So you talking about this Outkast guy?
Yeah.
Is he a legend?
In the hip-hop community, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
You haven't gone to the meetings in a while, but yeah.
I'll take your word for it. When you listen to that, do you get a sudden urge to go out and bust a cap?
No, I've never felt like busting a cap, OB.
Okay, I just thought I'd ask.
That's not my style, to be honest with you. I mean, I haven't busted a cap ever. I've been at
just thought I'd ask.
I have been at a party that's been shot at. That I have.
Wait, what?
On more than one occasion. My wife and I were at a... Yeah, oh yeah. In the mean streets of A-Leaf? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. House parties that were shot at? Oh yeah.
Man,
Billy has too, I bet. I don't know. I assume.
I've taken shots, but I've never
been
shot
I'm talking about like... Oh yeah.
You were at a party and
I got shot at, yes.
Drive-by.
Yeah, A-Leaf. I don't know. I think there was a fight and...
Who does stuff like that?
Mean people. People that have no regard for life.
Oh, my goodness.
My cousin. No, I'm kidding. Nobody I knew. Nobody that I did know.
You know what? They're probably listening to Outkast.
No. Outkast is not a gangster.
That's great. I got to go bust a cap.
Okay. Does every country song have a horse?
They should.
One other thing. Off topic. Then we'll get back on topic because I'm sure. You're talking about like how you didn't like coleslaw, then you ended up liking it?
Yeah.
I hated carrots for 46 years of my life.
Okay.
I eat a lot of carrots now. It's the weirdest thing.
You know what? I don't like them at all. And my wife made some the other day, and she, put a glaze. She went to a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And so I had to make myself eat.
Did you like it?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
But you know what? As carrots go, she put so much on it and whatever to freak it. I don't know what she did, but it wasn't offensive. But of course, when your wife will go to that much trouble, you have to eat it and pretend to enjoy it.
And pretend.
Oh, she's not still listening.
Oh, she'll text you if she is.
Yeah,
3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
No text. So
All right.
I'm in the clear.
You're good until one of her friends tells her, "Did you hear your husband this morning?"
She knows I don't like carrots.
All right.
She's just trying to give me healthy food.
I don't eat pickles, and I will never.
I love pickles.
Oh God, ruins every food
I
that
love
it touches.
pickles.
When that food item touches something else and ruins it, you know it's a bad food.
In fact, I like my hamburger with a lot of pickles and then jalapenos with the pickles.
I like jalapenos, just not in the pickles.
I like pickles.
All right, should we get into OB's matchups? Presented by Bach Realty. Bach Realty Group, brokered by Real, a full-service residential real estate team run by former TexAgs radio host Gabe Bach and his wife Megan. Megan, Gabe, and their team ready to help you from luxury and new construction to farm, ranch, and first-time home buyers, invest properties, and much, much more. Let Bach Realty Group be the Aggies you trust for all of your real estate needs. OB, I'm sure this was a very easy assignment for you to come up with matchups.
Actually, it was kind of hard because you're like, what are the key matchups? Look, we know that this is going to be a blowout. But here's some of the things to look for, right? How about A&M quarterback Jalen Henderson? You touched on it earlier against the ACU secondary. Look, ACU actually has a couple of pretty good guys in the secondary. They got Elijah Moffitt's a safety. I think he leads the FCS with 4 interceptions. You got Patrick Jolly. He's a transfer from UCLA and at cornerback, and those 2 guys are really good. I think they're actually pretty decent against the pass. I think they're, they're not just getting toasted every week, right? But they haven't had to go up against guys like Anais Smith, Evan Stewart if he plays. So A&M's going to have an advantage there. So is Jalen Henderson going to be able to find those guys, and then make accurate throws? Because hey, those guys are athletic. They can get the ball. They can get some interceptions if you're not careful. So I think that's a matchup to watch.
Okay.
If Jalen Henderson can exploit and capitalize on his advantage of A&M's receivers against the ACU secondary.
All right. Any other matchups?
Oh, how about just the A&M offensive line versus the ACU defensive line? The Aggies offensive line has kind of been up and down, inconsistent.
Trending up, maybe?
Trending up, I would think so. And they've got to again capitalize on that superior advantage that they have. ACU has struggled to stop the run. Opponents are averaging 213.4 yards a game. So that A&M offensive line needs to create gaping holes for A&M running backs to exploit that.
Okay.
What would you say about the A&M pass rush against the ACU offensive line? Would you believe ACU has only given up 12 sacks all year?
I think that number might be closer to 20 at the end of the
it might be, but the fact of the matter is they've done a pretty good job protecting Maverick McIver.
Related to?
The son of Rick McIver, who once threw a 50-something yard touchdown pass to Earl Campbell against Texas A&M, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, they have one guy who's a transfer from Texas. He's a team captain at tackle, and for right now I can't remember his name. I just read about him. He was an all-conference guy, 2-time all-conference guy. But he can only block one guy, right? And can't even block them because look, Shamar Turner, Fidel Diggs, Edgerrin Cooper coming in. A&M's going to get to McIver.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like it.
It's going to be a tough day for Maverick. By the way, with just a name like that, he should be the quarterback at Texas A&M. Maverick McIver.
That's a great name.
That's a great name.
Good dog name, good quarterback name. Both.
Yeah, I mean, I might. You know what? I might tell Irma. You know what? Let's go
adopt a
ahead
kid.
and have another kid.
Okay,
let's go have another one just so we can name Maverick, even if it's a girl. We'll name it Maverick McIver Buchanan. Mavericka McIvory Buchanan.
I like it.
Or McEbony and McIvory if we have twins.
Ebony and Ivory? Good song. Maybe we can come back.
How about A&M cornerback Tyreek Chappelle against ACU wide receiver Blaine Taylor? Now he's their best player, Blaine Taylor. He's got 7 touchdown catches. He's caught about 35 passes, averages around 16 yards a catch. So he's a big play guy. Yeah. 6'5".
That's tall.
So they're going to try to get him, I would assume, matched up on 5'11" Chappelle. Of course, 5'11" Chappelle's A&M's best corner. So that he's not going to be following Taylor every play, right? But there's going to be some plays where you're going to get the 6'5" best player on A&M's 5'11" best corner. So I think that would be interesting to watch.
Absolutely.
Have I sold you yet?
I think you've sold me.
All right.
I think you have sold me.
And the ACU running game is that they have 3 guys. They're running back by committee, much like A&M.
Yep.
They average about 155 rushing yards a game. So A&M needs to make those one-dimensional. You know who 2 players that can go a long way toward making them one-dimensional by stopping that run is Edgerrin Cooper and Torian York. Linebackers fill the holes, stop that running game, put Maverick McIver in 3rd and long situations, and see if that ACU line can protect him.
The way you say Maverick, it reminds me of the old school character you created.
Rockadelier. Yeah, I want to.
You say it the same way.
I want to have another child, and I want to name him Maverick McIver.
And a couple years ago, it would have been
Maverick McIver Buchanan.
God, that's a good name.
That's a good name. Man,
just get another dog.
Even if it's Maverick, but he couldn't grow up to play quarterback for the Aggies. Now, maybe we could grow a new dog, and if A&M is willing to let him learn to go fetch the tee like Lane Kiffin's dog does, or maybe they could you think they'd let me get a new dog and have him breed with Reveille? You think that might be pushing the envelope a little bit too much, so I can feel closer to the program?
Maybe.
I could get a collie. I didn't say what kind of.
I'm on Team Collie, by the way.
Yeah.
I had a Sheltie, which is a miniature collie.
Yeah.
I had two. They're the best.
Yeah.
They barked all the time. That was a little bit much. All right, let's hit a break. Roccadelier / Maverick Buchanan.
Maverick McIver.
All right. Right now, we're going to talk about career opportunities with the Association of Former Students. So if you want to move back to this area, what a great opportunity and time to do it, because the association is looking to hire professionals in several different departments. I wanted to move back to this area. Billy called me. It worked out great. You can do it too by working with the Association of Former Students. They've got positions open in communications, fundraising, former student programs, campus programs, and much, much more. They are the premier alumni association and the oldest organization serving A&M in support of that Aggie network. They play a part in each and every Aggie story from Howdy to here. Don't miss out on opportunities to help out the association with Howdy Socials, Aggie Rean Day, class reunions, Aggie Muster, and everything in between. Join a team that exemplifies Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, and respect, selfless service, all in support of that worldwide Aggie network. If you're interested in joining the team or sharing with someone who would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/associationjobs to apply and get more information on each position. It's the Association of Former Students. Tell me you know this song.
I don't, but so far, I mean, I'm
Hey now.
I'm kind of digging it right now so far.
As soon as I asked for it, they turned it down.
Yeah.
Good time.
Man, I want to go bust a cap.
That is Andre 3000.
Okay, Andre.
That's Outcast.
Man.
Big boy.
Man, he must be a giant in his field.
Andre Benjamin.
He's Andre the Giant.
And Andre Patton. I think it's Andre Patton. Yeah. From Atlanta, Georgia.
Hey,
the AT Aliens.
I'm
sorry, Miss Jackson. No?
I know Miss Jackson.
You know that song, right?
'Cause I'm nasty.
No, not that one. Not Eddie Murphy Delirious talking about Janet.
By the way,
yeah,
I think we should talk about how Hannah has generously offered to help me out on my, want to have a Maverick Buchanan.
Oh,
no,
Okay.
as
We need some context there. That sounds-
as a
that's-
grandson.
no.
What? What? What are we talking about here?
Tell him.
What did you say?
You really
Hannah?
gonna make me expose myself?
I don't
right
even
now?
know. Like, why are we here?
Okay, well, it's still sounding bad. Okay, for context,
Oh my gosh.
Olin has a son very close in age to me, and so
Yes.
we were talking about that. He
And
made
she-
it sound
she
terrible.
Said, no, I did.
Just awful.
She just said, hey, your son and I, if we ever, we could have a son and name him Maverick.
It's
I don't
still
think she was
sounding bad.
actually. I don't think she was. I think she
It's
was
not
just,
getting better.
I don't think she was actually saying that.
It's the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse of CC Creations. I
Thank you,
apologize.
Nuño. Get a hold of
Maverick
that room.
Buchanan.
My goodness.
Gosh, what is wrong with you people? By the way, to class up the joint, John says, Nuño, Olin, my 4-year-old is about to go watch his first Aggie football game this Saturday. We're driving in after work today.
That's awesome.
A great experience.
Hope his name's Maverick.
Okay. It's time to go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Do not ruin this opportunity,
Boy,
Hannah.
She turned red.
This is terrible.
I'm
Anyways.
sure your dad's listening today. By the
Oh,
way.
I bet he is.
Yes.
I bet he's getting a kick out of it. Though.
I bet
His
you
name
he'd
is
love
David,
to have
right?
I bet you
Yes.
he'd love to have a grandson named Maverick.
I think that's a really cool name.
I do too. See, I think that's all she was going for.
And here I thought we were going to name a dog Maverick. But anyway, let's get into the pick six, shall we?
We shall. We really shall. All right. This week we're going number 1 Georgia at number 19 Tennessee. Georgia's favored by 10.5.
Dogs.
Yeah, it's not even like, don't doubt Georgia. Don't against Bama, we might have a different
I'm
conversation.
going to take the dogs against
But
the
I'm taking
dogs.
Yeah.
All right.
That was easy. We're done with that one.
Easy peasy. All right. Next up, you have number 20 North Carolina at Clemson. Clemson's favored by 6.5.
Clemson looks like they figured some things out. Haven't they?
Dabo
They're at
Swinney,
home.
future coach of it. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
I think I'm going to take Clemson.
I feel like I should go opposite of you.
Yeah.
But my gut says that North Carolina's arrow is pointing down and Clemson's is starting to point up. And at the end of the season, North Carolina will be better. But I think for this right now, Clemson at home, figure it out. They win by more than a touchdown.
My gut was telling me Clemson, and my gut speaks a lot louder than yours.
It's true. I can hear it sometimes.
Yeah.
It's pretty loud. You got to fix your gut health. We can do that. We can talk about that. I got serious on the program.
Moving on.
WebMD
Moving
Nuño.
on. You have number 21 Kansas State at number 25 Kansas, and Kansas State is favored by 7.5.
Cats. Took the dogs. Now I'm taking the Cats.
I'm taking Kansas.
Isn't Kansas? Aren't they down to their third string quarterback?
They are.
Cats.
I'm taking Kansas at home. I know that Lance Leopold has been mentioned as a potential guy.
So has Clayman.
But I think Lance has been louder.
Winner gets to be A&M coach.
Winner gets to interview in person. They don't have to do the Zoom. They actually get to fly in on the team's plane.
All right.
Is that fair?
Yeah, they should have a big A&M logo painted at the instead of the Jayhawk logo, put the A&M logo there.
I know Ross Bjork spends all morning.
Maybe they should put a logo of Ross Bjork on the 50-yard line.
Why not? I know that he spends this morning listening to us, not trying to interview candidates because he's trying to get ideas. But I got an idea for him. Part of the interview process, and we've already said this on the show, not an original thought. Let us be a part of it. We know what to ask. You know, if we did it on the go hour, Kleiman, let's go. Leopold, let's go. Dion, let's go. We'll all wear glasses. We'll do it.
I think Dion's interested. I've noticed he wears a cowboy hat all the time.
Now, you know you probably wouldn't get his son or his Travis Hunter.
I'm good with Connor.
Yeah, I love Connor.
Yeah,
I did too. All right, Hannah.
All right. That was kind of a hot take, OB. So next up, we have number 5, Washington, at number 11, Oregon State. Oregon State is favored by 2.5.
Jonathan Smith, another candidate.
Oh,
we've done 4 straight candidates.
Man, he's a good coach. You know what? I am
DeBoer, candidate.
I'm taking Oregon State
to win the game.
You just don't walk into Reser Stadium and expect to win. You know they haven't lost in Corvallis in like 2 years.
Winner gets the A&M job. Oh, sorry, we just did that joke. I'm going to bore you with my answer.
DeBoer?
I'm going with DeBoer.
Okay.
That's the Olin headline.
Now, I understand that. That makes sense, but Oregon State, they actually play some defense.
They do. And
give me the Beavers. I can't make a beaver noise.
Do the face.
Give me the damn Beavers. Because Beavers, build dams.
Ward?
Beaver, you were hard on the Beaver last night.
Hey, now.
And that was the line that
June.
You were little. Yeah. June, that was her name.
June Cleaver.
She was Barbara Billingsley.
She was a nice lady.
I liked her in Airplane.
Okay. Are you ready for your next one?
You have no idea what we're talking about, do you?
No, I'm just...
Do you know who Eddie Haskell is?
We're just here for the laughs. All right, next up you have
No,
number
I'm
7...
asking you a question. I'm asking you, do you know who Eddie Haskell is?
No.
And if you did, would you have a son with him?
Probably.
Okay. Continue on.
We're going to cut that one. We're cutting that one off. All right. Are you ready for your next pick?
Yes, we're ready.
Okay, all right. Number 7, Texas at Iowa State. Texas is favored by 7.5.
I want to say Iowa State.
Did you know Iowa State has won 3 of the last 4 games against the Longhorns in Ames, including the last 2? It's going to be cold and at night.
Oh yeah, baby. When it's cold outside.
Yeah.
There's a song by Joe to see. I'm just not going to finish it. I know Texas is going to win, but I'm picking Iowa State on the show.
I'm going with Texas. I'm going to take Texas.
This is probably stupid of me, I know.
But no, it's not. I mean, Iowa State's not bad, and Texas has got.
But they're not good.
But they're not. But they're better than Houston.
Okay.
And Houston damn near beat Texas.
That's true.
And some other teams are giving Texas trouble.
I'm taking Iowa State.
So they're up in Iowa. I'm taking Texas.
I'm taking Iowa State just because I want it to happen.
Go side. You know what? I should take Iowa State just in tribute to my friend Doug Beck, who's from Ames. But I'm sorry, I got to go with Texas.
And this last one doesn't count. We're all going to get a freebie. But go ahead, Hannah.
All right, last up you have Abilene Christian at Texas A&M.
No line.
No line.
Look, they've gotten better. They've been blocking better lately. You said yourself that.
No, I didn't mean that kind of line.
Oh.
We'll play.
I'll go with the Aggies. I'm going to go out on that limb.
Yeah, you kind of have to go with that. There's no line, so they're going to win, and it's going to. Well, all right. Let me ask you this: do they win by more than 40 points?
Yes.
Do they win by more than 50?
Yeah.
More than 60?
No.
So 55.
I think. I think they'll win by around 50, and I don't. E-Rob is probably not the type of guy that just wants to thoroughly embarrass the other guys.
What kind of head coach would you be?
I would. Well, not the FCS guys, because they're here to get a paycheck and to be. And I'll give them respect for that. You'll take this on. But if it was like
you're not calling timeouts to score with 5 minutes left.
Here's what I would do if I was a head coach, and I mean this. This is not a joke. If I was the head coach, I would always know the line. I wouldn't tell anybody to know the line. And I'm talking about the betting line. Mm-hmm. And if I was the head coach, I would, if it was in my power, I would always make sure I would do whatever I could to ensure that my team covered.
Yep.
Because if I'm at A&M, for instance, I'm rich because of A&M supporters are making it to where I can be rich. And this is one small way of returning the favor because I know they're all betting on my team. So when who was it against? Was it South Carolina when Bond missed a field goal that would have covered, and then they got the ball back,
and they decided not to score?
Right. I would have sent him out there to try it again because I know I got a bunch of guys in that stadium that bet on my team, and I want to help them make some money too. Now I can't tell anybody in the post game press conference. I said, I wanted Bond to get his confidence back.
Yeah, I like the way you operate there, Obi. All right, let's hit a break. We will come back with one final segment here on TexAgs Radio's Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Right now, we're talking about Holly and Costa Vida, South College Station. Great place to go for morning, for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, you name it. Here's the lineup for the weekend. Breakfast tacos, coffee, and orange juice available before the game at their food trailer in the fan zone at the corner of Joe Route Boulevard and Houston Street. Chips and queso, chili lime chicken, and sweet pork nachos available in the All-American Club. Chili lime chicken, and I like how I say that, chili lime chicken. Sweet pork burritos available at the Yard and the Northwest concession stand on the third deck. And, of course, they invite everyone to stop by their store in South College Station. That is 4501 Mills Park Circle. Start your game day off right with breakfast, tacos, coffee, or stop by for lunch, dinner, or the entire weekend. It is a great place to go for awesome food. If you like fresh Mex done the right way where every ingredient matters, you go to Costa Vida in South College Station. Again, that is 4501 Mills Park Circle. Go check them out for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's Costa Vida. TexAgs Radio, Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. I know it's a different time than we normally do. It's now time to bank on it, presented by Vera Bank, authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. Learn more, verabank.com. What are you banking on?
I'm banking on that on a 50-point win. I'm really, I think A&M's just better, obviously, and really excited about what Jalen Henderson did last week, and I'm going to see some more of that.
I agree. I'm banking on a 2-for-2 special. Again, Jalen Henderson, 2 touchdown passes in the air, 2 touchdowns on the ground, followed by a Marcel Reed running touchdown. He might throw for one, but that's what I'm banking on.
I love a running quarterback.
Do too. I love it. It's now time for Around Aggie Land, presented by Norman G. State Bank. Norman G. State Bank, rock solid banking website, normanGStateBank.com. Kay Negley.
As y'all have talked about basically the entire show, interim head coach Elijah Robinson will look for his first win as Texas A&M takes on ACU this Saturday. That is an 11 a.m. kick, so get up. Me and OB were just talking about it's going to be an early one, so make sure get your coffee or whatever other liquids you enjoy in the morning to get you going, and tune into the Aggies, hopefully secure that win. Men's basketball will be playing tonight. They are coming off of a win on the road over SMU on Tuesday. They will play just their second home game in November tonight against Oral Roberts at Reed Arena.
And something good is going to happen today.
Such as?
Well, that's what Oral Roberts, how he used to always open his show. He'd say, something good is going to happen to you.
Your memory is so good. Very good. What else, Kay?
Something happens good for A&M. Aggie soccer also plays today. They have a big one. They lost to Florida State earlier in the season. That was the season opener. But they will look for a rematch when it matters. They will play Florida State, the #1 overall team in the NCAA tournament. Today, that is at 4:30. Like I said, second round of the NCAA tournament will be played in Tallahassee. So best of luck to G. Guerreri. Hope they get it done and shock the world. Why not?
Why not?
Why not? Texas A&M volleyball unfortunately did drop another conference match to number 12 Kentucky. That was yesterday night in 4 sets. The Aggies will now travel back to College Station to take on number 8 Tennessee. And then cross country is getting going. Eric Casares,
my boy.
I know, our boy, and the women's cross country team will travel to the NCAA Championship on Saturday morning. The gun goes off at 9:20 for the women, and then for Eric, he will run the 10K, which is crazy to even think about. He will run at 10:10 on Saturday. So best of luck to Eric and all the Aggie teams out there.
So Eric and a lot of women.
Eric
Gotta like those odds, Eric.
First time for him.
Gotta like those odds.
Joking, Eric. We hope you do great. SB on the YouTube chat. I need a coaching search update stat. Well, become a premium subscriber. Billy's going to have an update at some point, I think, today. So
I'm sure he will.
And you got to be a premium subscriber to get that. OB, thank you, buddy.
That was fun.
It was fun. Stick around for the rewind, all right?
All right.
All right. That's going to do it for TexAgs Radio here on a Friday. My thanks to the McKinney brothers coming in bright and early. At least Seth got in here bright and early. Steve a few minutes late. And Billy a few minutes later than that. Of course, Jackie Sherrill and Robert Crouch coming into the studio. That was a fun conversation. And this guy right here to my left, Olin Buchanan. All right, we are going to see you guys tomorrow on the post-game wrap after A&M takes care of business, beats the hell out of ACU, and then, of course, on the Luchador podcast on Sunday. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you hopefully mañana.